Chapter 2598. A Show of Strength. The first generations of the various academies were in high spirits, knowing that a good show was about to happen. Even Luo Shawthorn was watching from afar. Although Lin Ling was a good genius, he could not compare to the local tyrant, the Holy King's residence. The surrounding discussions quietly fell into Sheng Xiaobao's ears, and a cold smile appeared on his face. He had indeed lost a lot of face earlier. Now that so many people were watching, he would definitely wash away this shame. Moreover, the reverence around him made him feel like his face had been lifted. He wanted the first generation to know that anyone who dared to beat him, Sheng Xiaobao, would have to obediently kneel down. Men, bring me 3 tall horses. Today, if Lin Ling doesn't eat all of them, he won't be able to leave 3 Ring City. He waved his cloak and shouted domineeringly, "Yes, young prince." An expert understood and brought out 3 ugly cattle and toad horses. These horses were 3 meters tall and had toad-like lumps all over their bodies. They also had 6 legs and were extremely ugly. These horses came from the southern border. Although they were not fast, their pulling force was very strong. They were used by some officials and nobles to do heavy work. Swoosh! The feces of the cattle, toad horses, and horses immediately emitted a stench. Although the feces of cattle, toad horses could be used to refine pills, it was still extremely smelly. Everyone looked at the domineering Sheng Xiaobao and couldn't help laughing. 3 piles of feces were enough for Lin Ling to eat until he was full. This Sheng Xiaobao was indeed worthy of being the tyrant of 3 Ring City. He knew how to torture people. Sheng Xiaobao also smiled contentedly. He arranged a chair and waited for Lin Ling to come out. At this moment in the Grand Council Hall, the Grand Council Minister and Lin Ling walked out with smiles on their faces. "Sir, Sheng Xiaobao is waiting for Lin Ling in the city. Moreover, he brought out many true Immortal Realm experts. I'm afraid he wants to teach Marshal Lin Ling a lesson." A soldier immediately walked over and reported, "Audacious Sheng Xiaobao." The Grand Council Minister was enraged. Even Lin Ling was extremely surprised. "Sheng Xiaobao, the loser from before?" Sheng Xiaobao is the young prince of the Holy King's residence. Although you are the marshal, the Holy King's residence is not afraid of the Martial God Battalion. Lin Ling, I will help you deal with this matter. I want to see if 3 Ring City is Sheng Xiaobao's territory. The Grand Council Minister looked at Lin Ling. The Martial God Battalion was one of the 6 battalions, so it wasn't the largest in 3 Ring City. However, Lin Ling smiled and shook his head. "There's no need to trouble your excellency. Lin Ling, can still deal with these small fries." The Grand Council looked surprised and then laughed. "Good. That's what a marshal should look like. You have the aura. Go." He nodded in satisfaction. If Lin Ling couldn't even deal with a Saint Junior Guardian, then Lin Ling would be too weak. Fortunately, Lin Ling seemed to have been a leader before, so he was able to handle this kind of thing calmly. You go and see this so-called Sheng Xiaobao." Lin Ling said goodbye and left with Yu and Xianyuan Go. "Sir, this Lin Ling is not afraid of anything." "He is," the soldier beside him said. "Yes, the waters of the great Azure Divine Dynasty are very deep. When outsiders come here, they have to be careful at every step. There aren't many who are as calm and collected as Lin Ling. This guy has seen more storms than we thought." The Grand Council Minister smiled slightly, looking forward to how Lin Ling would resolve this matter. Lin Ling walked along the Grand Council Hall and slowly came to the main street. Both sides of the street, true Immortal Realm experts. "Overlords, Lin Ling is here." Someone immediately spoke up, causing those experts to cast their gazes on Lin Ling. "Is that Lin Ling, the champion of the Pride Tournament? He looks good." "Yes, but he is too arrogant. He looked down on everyone when he just entered 3 Ring City. Now he has kicked an iron plate. The champion of the Pride Tournament, eating shit on the street. It will be good news." The experts were talking about it. They looked forward to it. Now, he should not be scared out of his wits. Another expert said. However, they were surprised. Lin Ling and Yu walked as if they were shopping. They did not react to the oppressive atmosphere on the street. This caused many people to be inwardly shocked. Lin Ling could react so calmly. First, Lin Ling did not know that someone was going to humiliate him. Second, Lin Ling knew, but he did not care. Among the 2 points, people believed the second one more. Three Ring City is much better than other places. You look. The street lions on both sides of the street are quite old. If they were in the rainforest, they would be good treasures, Lin Ling said as he walked. Yes, there are so many treasures here. It makes us feel like we are in an immortal city. Xianxia was the first to reply. Brother Ling, why don't we take those street lions home? Yu suggested with a cute smile. Their conversation was not loud, but they were surrounded by experts. How could they miss their conversation? They were shocked. Not only were these three not afraid, but they were also planning to rob something. At the end of the street, Xianxia had already seen Lin Ling. He thought Lin Ling would walk over nervously, but Lin Ling's reaction was normal. It was as if he did not see him at all. He had waited here for so long, and this was the result? Even he felt like he was playing with a monkey at this moment. Lin Ling, get over here. Xianxia could no longer suppress his anger. His voice finally attracted Lin Ling's attention. How dare you provoke the young prince in Three Ring City? Before Xianxia could say a second word, the Thousand Realms general next to him also shouted with a monstrous aura. It was obvious that this general had also climbed out of a pile of corpses. His murderous aura was extremely strong. Along with his voice, the surrounding experts also erupted with their auras. It was like a storm, shocking the world. This was a show of strength. They wanted Lin Ling to know their power. Seeing this, Lin Ling finally looked over. Then, he led Yu and Xianxia forward. The onlookers could not help but look forward to it. A good show was about to start. Men, bring out the horses. Seeing Lin Ling coming, Xianxia shouted again. Someone laughed loudly. Then, he came out with a cow, toad, and horse. The horse's nose snorted like a toad, but its voice was thunderous. What do you think after seeing this horse? At this moment, Xianxia revealed a playful smile. He seemed to be very happy. Let me tell you, you must give me 3 lumps of this horse's poop. Then, our grudge will be written off. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave Three Ring City. He then waved his hand at Lin Ling and said in an even more domineering manner, Bring it up. Yes, young prince. The expert leading the horse excitedly replied. He led the horse and swaggered towards Lin Ling. When he arrived in front of Lin Ling, he looked down at him and said, Marshal Lin Ling, what do you think after seeing this horse? Let me tell you, the young prince knows that you've become a marshal, so he specially used this horse to celebrate your victory. Even as a servant, he was extremely arrogant at this moment. Chapter 2599. The thunder was loud, but the rain was small. What do you think? Lin Ling also looked at Nyogama with a calm expression. Meanwhile, the people who were watching the show all revealed smiles. Lin Ling wouldn't immediately swallow shit, right? However, just as they had that thought, Lin Ling leaped up and placed his palm on the saddle. The power of the divine demon exploded. Boom! The 3-meter-tall bull, frog, horse, and horse felt as if it had been crushed by Mount Tai. It was directly pressed to the ground by a single palm. Soon after, the horse's body exploded, blood and flesh splattering everywhere. It had been killed by Lin Ling with a single palm strike. Even the street was smashed into a huge crater. This action was undoubtedly domineering and spread far and wide, shaking the entire Three Ring City. For a moment, the street was silent. Everyone was shocked by Lin Ling's tyrannical actions. It must be known that the ox, toad, and horse were like giant beasts in the 10,000 worlds. But now, they were smashed into meat paste. It was impossible not to be shocked. Lin Ling, how dare you? Xianxia was also stunned. Then, his face turned red with anger. Wasn't Lin Ling supposed to eat shit? He was actually so arrogant. You want to die? Is that horse a military horse? You actually dared to kill a horse on the street? Who gave you the guts? Next to Xianxia, the Thousand Realms general also let out a thunderous roar. His Majesty was extremely strong. Men, pull out 10 big horses for me. If he doesn't eat them all, I won't let him go today. The general shouted angrily again. Why are you shouting so loudly? Is it to prove your existence? Where did this little soldier come from? Who gave you the right to offend your superiors? Seeing this, Lin Ling also took a step forward, his expression extremely cold. You're just a junior. I like to see where you get the arrogance to speak. The general was also enraged. He led the experts behind him and stepped forward. Let me tell you, even if the Heavenly Emperor comes today, you will still obediently eat shit. Is that so? General of the 1,000 Realms, we haven't seen each other for 3 years, but you seem to think that you're the Lord of Three Ring City. However, as soon as he finished speaking, an indifferent voice sounded out, and a middle-aged man in embroidered clothes walked over with large strides. His aura was unfathomable, and every single move he made carried the aura of royalty. Eighth Lord. The general's expression changed violently when he saw this. He had to look up to such a figure. Let me tell you, Lin Ling is the guest I've been waiting for today. If you dare to attack my guest, you must be tired of living. However, Lord Eighth's next words made the general's face turn pale. This sentence was clearly saying that Lord Eighth was supporting Lin Ling. Lord Eighth was an ambitious and ruthless person in Four Ring City. He could not afford to offend him. You're called Xianxia, right? San Juan City seems to have become your backyard. At this time, another voice came, causing Saint Xiaobao to look over. He immediately asked, Who are you? The person who came was an old man. He had a benevolent look on his face, but he had the aura of a divine king. I am Resplendent Academy's Vice Principal Gong. The old man said indifferently. Don't think that just because San Juan City belongs to the Great Azure Divine Dynasty, my Resplendent Academy is not qualified to speak here. Let me tell you, if you dare to touch a hair on Lin Ling's head, your Holy King's mansion is equivalent to opposing the Resplendent Academy. Plop! Saint Xiaobao's face turned pale as he fell to the ground in fright. He had long known that Lin Ling was a genius of the Resplendent Academy, but never in his wildest dreams would he have imagined that the vice principal would personally come for Lin Ling. This was the first time in the Resplendent Academy's long history that such a thing had happened. Vice Principal Gong is also here. Where did this Lin Ling get his strength from? The people who were watching a good show also opened their mouths wide at this moment. Lin Ling was just a newcomer, but he had 2 ancient supremes backing him up. This was too terrifying. We've been waiting for Lin Ling for the whole morning. I was wondering why Lin Ling hadn't come yet. So it's because trash like you stopped him. However, the crowd shock did not end there. Another angry voice was heard. This time, it was Sunset Brilliance. Although this person was not from the Great Azure Divine Dynasty, he was the owner of Fortune Manor. Your Holy King's mansion is not allowed to enter my Fortune Manor for 3 years. Most importantly, there was a middle-aged man beside Sunset Brilliance. He had a noble aura, but there was no anger between his brows. Ram King, the real owner of Fortune Manor. Seeing the middle-aged man, everyone was shocked at this moment. That was because Fortune Manor had 2 owners. One was the vice principal, and the other was the vice principal. The vice principal was Sunset Brilliance. He was in charge of contacting the other Fortune Manor in 9 prefectures, but the vice principal was in charge of Qing Prefecture's Fortune Manor. It was said that this senior had even met the Emperor of myriad realms of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. And now, these 2 huge figures who were in charge of wealth had also come. Moreover, they came for Lin Ling again. Today, Lin Ling just moved his feet and San Juan City was in turmoil. However, was it over just like that? Good, Sheng Xiaobao, you have guts. If you have the ability, don't leave San Juan City. Otherwise, my martial god battalion will surround you for 3 years. The majestic voice could be said to be continuous like thunder. Another expert had arrived. It was the marshal of the Martial God Battalion. Although the soldiers of the Martial God Battalion were not allowed to enter San Juan City, if they were angered, they would surround the city. As long as Xianxia dared to leave the city, the martial god battalion's army would come bearing down on him. Thump, thump, thump. The continuous sounds made Xiaobao's heart beat faster and faster. He had ordered the experts to surround Lin Ling, but who knew that Lin Ling was not weaker than him in terms of numbers and power. Lin Ling had even turned the tables on him. As for the experts brought by Xiaobao, their faces were pale at this moment. The corners of their mouths were trembling. Some of the weaker experts had even fainted. The great Azure Divine Dynasty had a strict status. At this moment, they had offended their superiors. If they were beheaded in public, it would be a common occurrence. At this moment, Lin Ling had already stepped forward and arrived in front of Xiaobao, looking down at him. Xiaobao, you brought such a big scene to bully me. Why aren't you saying anything now? His voice drifted out, causing Xiaobao to raise his head. His eyes were red, as if his lungs were about to explode from anger. Unfortunately, he could only be angry and not dare to say anything. The thunder is loud, but the rain is small. I, Lin Ling, have been waiting for you to make things difficult for me. You better not disappoint me. Lin Ling said again. Xiaobao immediately went silent. The surrounding onlookers sighed. They had caused such a commotion before, but in the end, this was the outcome. It was indeed loud thunder, but little rain. Lin Ling lightly said, I know you want to take me down a notch to prove how powerful a superior like you is. I don't care about this, but I do care about one thing. You're disturbing me from going shopping with my wife. Going shopping? The crowd was astonished. This Lin Ling was truly domineering. With so many people surrounding him, he was still in a mood to go shopping. Meanwhile, Lin Ling squatted down and patted Xiaobao's cheek with disdain. Today, I just obtained the martial seal and am in a good mood, so I'll spare your dog life. Chapter 2600. A Secret Letter. However, just as he was about to rejoice, Lin Ling said again, I can spare your lives, but each of you has to eat 3 lumps of the horse feces. You can leave when you finish them. What? Xiaobao raised his head in shock. Oh, you think it's too little? Fine, then you have to eat 5 lumps. Lin Ling smiled. 1 lump of the horse feces was enough for 3 burly men to eat, let alone 5 lumps. You're courting death. Xiaobao trembled in anger. The more he shouted, the angrier Lin Ling became. You think it's too little again? Fine, then give me 10 lumps. Hearing this, Xiaobao was stunned. The Thousand Realms general behind him said bitterly, Xiaobao, please don't speak anymore, okay? If Xiaobao spoke again, Lin Ling might ask them to eat 100 lumps. That would be worse than killing them. Plop! Xiaobao was stunned, as if he was struck by lightning. Then he fainted. Lin Ling smiled coldly and ignored him. He turned around and walked toward Luo Yao and the others. Each of you has to eat 10 lumps. If you don't finish them, you'll have to bear the consequences. Luo Yao and the others said coldly. The Thousand Realms general and the others shuddered. They cursed Xiaobao in their hearts for provoking such a big shot. Now they had no choice but to eat. Looking at the giant toad-like horse, the bitter smiles on their faces became even more intense. Some of them had not even started eating feces, but he had already vomited from fright. Without any suspense, a lot of mocking laughter came from the surroundings. Xiaobao had smashed his own foot with a rock. As for Lin Ling, he left with Luo Yao and the others and headed towards the inn. As expected, this Lin Ling has many experts supporting him. Among the crowd, Luo Xianxia stared coldly at Lin Ling's back. There was a cold glint in his eyes. In fact, today's events were all part of his plan. He wanted to find out the power behind Lin Ling through Xiaobao, and now he finally found out. This meant that it would be very difficult for him to touch Lin Ling. This made him feel very uncomfortable in his heart. After all, in terms of strength, even 100 Lin Lings wouldn't be his opponent. However, such a weak Lin Ling made him unable to attack. I'll find his weakness one day, Luo Thorn thought to himself. Killing Lin Ling was a small matter. The space-time divine steel in Lin Ling's possession was what he valued the most. As for the distant Grand Council Hall, The Grand Council Minister seemed to know about the situation on the street. He couldn't help but smile. No wonder why this Lin Ling is so confident. So he already knew that many big shots were waiting for him. This Xianxia is courting death. In fact, his guess was right. Lin Ling wasn't afraid before because Luo Riyao and the others were waiting for him. At this moment, in the restaurant, a group of experts were congratulating Lin Ling. Lin Ling picked up his wine cup and said to the experts, "Thank you for your help before. It's nothing. Hee. Although this holy king's mansion has some ability, we old monsters aren't to be trifled with." Luo Riyao and the other experts laughed one after another. If they supported Lin Ling alone, they would hesitate for a moment. However, it wasn't just the vice principal, but also the eighth lord, Fu Xing Manor, and other forces. Therefore, they naturally wouldn't miss out on this favor. Lin Ling also knew that these ancient experts only valued his potential. If his potential was ordinary, these experts wouldn't have shown up before. Even so, Lin Ling was still grateful to them. Of course, through the incident with Xianxia, Lin Ling was also more familiar with the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. This ancient divine dynasty was indeed full of experts. In the past, Li Xiaoyao had also been to the Great Azure Divine Dynasty, but he didn't enter it, so he wasn't familiar with it. However, in the past, Li Xiaoyao knew that the current divine emperor of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty was extremely powerful. Even Li Xiaoyao felt inferior. Every emperor of the 9 states was born to seize the lives of the people around the world. As for whether there were more powerful experts above the 9 states, Li Xiaoyao didn't know. Of course, in this life, Lin Ling would definitely find out the secret. After a while, everyone became familiar with each other. At this time, a waiter walked into the private room and bowed. "May I ask who is Lord Lin Ling? Here is a letter from him." Seeing this, everyone was puzzled. Lin Ling had just entered Sanhuan City, and the people he knew were also present. So, who would send a letter to Lin Ling? Even Lin Ling was slightly surprised. He said lightly, "I am Lin Ling." The waiter hurriedly handed over the letter in fear. Crimson Moon, Straight Shadow Feather. Seeing the black letter, Lin Ling was shocked. The others were also slightly surprised. This is a secret letter. The Crimson Moon Straight Shadow Feather was the feather of the Crimson Moon Straight Shadow Divine Eagle. If it was forged with a barrier, it had the power to block all detection. Only the owner of the letter could see the words in the letter. And the other party sent such a letter. Obviously, they didn't want others to know the secret in the letter. Vice Principal Gong, I heard that this restaurant has immortal songs and dances. I have heard of it for a long time. Why don't you accompany me to have a look? Luo Riyao was indeed a smart person. He immediately suggested. The group of experts also reacted and immediately left with smiles, leaving Lin Ling space to slowly read the letter. Since the letter was a secret letter, they naturally didn't want to poke their nose into other people's business. After everyone left, Lin Ling's face also became serious. "Brother Ling, who sent you the letter?" Yu Yu and Xian Yuan Gu were not outsiders, so they stayed in the private room. Lin Ling shook his head, and the boundary energy appeared in his hand. The letter was immediately burned, and then a big word appeared in the sky. "Junior brother Lin Ling, since we parted in the past, I was very curious about your battle, so I want to talk about martial arts with you. Please come to the Huaji Pavilion. I will serve you good wine and wait for you. Of course, if you don't have time, you can ask your sister-in-law to come. My Huaji Pavilion has the universal peony, and my sister-in-law will like it very much." The voice was extremely soft as the big word floated out. Signed, Lei Tianlan. It's her. Yes. Lin Ling's eyes suddenly lit up, and Yu Yu and the others were also shocked. Lei Tianlan and Lin Ling had only met once. Why did she invite Lin Ling? "Brother Ling, you said that Lei Tianlan seemed to be hostile, and she came from Sihuan City. Even the Grand Council was a little afraid of her, so you'd better not get involved with this kind of person," Yu Yu said worriedly. However, Lin Ling shook his head. "She didn't give me any other choice. In the letter, she said that if I don't have time, you can go. This is a secret threat. Obviously, Lei Tianlan was very shrewd. She knew that Lin Ling might not come, so she used Yu Yu and the others to threaten him. At the end of the letter, she said that her sister-in-law should come, and her sister-in-law was obviously Yu Yu and the others. But this is a Hongmin banquet. Xin Yuangu frowned and said, Chapter 26:01. Meet Lei Tianlan. I'll make a move first. Don't tell anyone about this envelope. After pondering for a while, Lin Ling stood up and said, he knew that Lei Tianlan must have thought it through thoroughly. She did not want him to inform Luo Gri Yao and the others. Moreover, informing Luo Gri Yao and the others might not even work. Lei Tianlan represented the Lane manor, not her personal influence. She was not as influential as Luo Shadi and the others. Brother Ling, we'll go with you. Yu Yu and Xin Yuangu both stood up, their beautiful eyes filled with determination. Upon seeing this, Lin Ling's heart warmed. In a place like the martial god world, people were fickle and fickle. The only people who could make him open his heart and trust them were Yu Yu and the others. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Just wait for me in the Eula market. I promise you that I'll be back. Lin Ling took a step forward and hugged Yu Yu and the others. Moreover, his hands were not well behaved. He rubbed the two beautiful wives until they were gasping for breath and their cheeks were flushed red. Lin Ling, you're so bad. Xian Yuangu's voice sounded like it could drip water. Huh? Lin Ling smiled in a carefree manner before turning around and leaving. The reason why he wasn't being honest was because he didn't want Yu Yu and the others to be too nervous. Seeing Lin Ling once again embark on his journey, Yu Yu and the others were moved. They knew that if it weren't for the two of them, Lin Ling definitely wouldn't have gone to the Feast of Hongmen. And Lin Ling was such a person. He could be the enemy of the entire world, and he could also ignore the lives of the people in the world. However, he was extremely concerned about the people around him. He wouldn't hesitate to climb a mountain of blades or dive into a sea of fire. The purpose of this trip was the Flower Princess Pavilion. As for what would happen next, Lin Ling had no idea. Along the way, Lin Ling discovered that Three Ring City was very big. It was like a divine dragon sitting on the earth. There were mountains and rivers. It could be said to be a world of its own. The Flower Princess Pavilion was quite famous in the Three Ring City. It was actually located at the edge of a cliff. After asking the passers-by, Lin Ling also walked in that direction. Not long after, a misty mountain range appeared in front of him. The bottom of the mountain range was like a big city. It was bustling with noise and excitement, and all kinds of stalls selling treasures could be seen everywhere. The Flower Princess Pavilion looked like a pavilion, but in fact, it could also be called a palace. Looking at the winding steps made of white jade, Lin Ling pondered for a moment and then strode up. He wanted to see what Lei Tianlan was up to. At this moment, the Flower Concubine Pavilion was like a sea of flowers. There were all kinds of flowers from all over the universe, and there were more than 1 billion varieties. That was how powerful Lei Tianlan was. Do you think he'll come? In a bamboo pavilion, a woman in a red dress walked out with her bare feet on the soft grass. She picked a bright flower in the garden and sniffed it. Unless he can give up on the people around him, or if he's so stupid that he can't understand the meaning of our letter, he'll definitely come. An old voice rang out in the garden, causing the flowers to wither. Granny, what do you think of Lin Ling? I don't have any opinion of him. Although he has Luo Ri Yao and the others behind him, that's all there is to it. I'm curious about his space-time divine tablet. If he comes this time, we'll definitely seize the space-time divine tablet. I heard that the Sovereign Marquis and other powerhouses are also eyeing that treasure covetously. The sound of conversation continued to ring out in the garden. At this moment, someone's voice rang out from outside. Young Miss, Lin Ling is here. As soon as this was said, Lei Tianlan's beautiful eyes lit up, and she revealed an indescribably beautiful smile. I didn't expect him to really dare to come. My evaluation of him has improved again. Forget it, I'll give him a chance. Welcome a guest. Lei Tianlan waved her hand, and a red light floated out, covering her seductive body and forming a set of fiery red armor. This armor could freely change its size and was hidden in a person's body. Obviously, it was a precious, immortal treasure. In the flower pavilion, celestial music floated in the air, and fragrance filled the air. A palace maid wearing cicada wings came out to welcome them. Lin Ling also stepped into the palace. What entered his eyes was a beautiful garden. Hundreds of flowers bloomed, and at the edge of the garden were white clouds floating. This garden was actually at the edge of a cliff, and the cliff was filled with a mysterious aura. Lin Ling quietly used his soul power to investigate, but he found that the cliff was bottomless. One had to know that Lin Ling's current soul power could cover an entire world, but he couldn't see the bottom of the cliff. This three-ring city was really a place of unfathomable depths. In the garden, a palace maid put down fine wine, then smiled at Lin Ling and left. A woman in a fiery red robe stood among the flowers, like a peony flower, quietly standing there, giving people the feeling that she was a queen. She was naturally Lei Tianlan. Lin Ling couldn't help but be stunned. He didn't have much contact with Lei Tianlan, but this time, Lei Tianlan gave him a completely different feeling. Although Lei Tianlan wasn't very beautiful, she was like a domineering flower, intellectual and enchanting, like a female emperor. Lin Ling had met a lot of women in his life. In terms of heroic aura, no one could be better than Lei Tianlan. She even reminded Lin Ling of the story of Hua Mulan in his previous world. Marshal Lin Ling, welcome. Lei Tianlan's temperament was very calm. She smiled and asked Lin Ling to sit down. Lin Ling, on the other hand, smiled faintly and sat down. I've heard of Marshal Lin Ling's fame long ago. You're young, but you're the fastest cultivating monster in the Resplendent Academy and the youngest marshal in the 6 camps. There are also many experts behind you. You're a hero from a young age. Lei Tianlan also sat down, holding a wine glass, and said slowly, You flatter me. It's just an undeserved reputation. Lin Ling was secretly shocked. Lei Tianlan was so familiar with him. You've cultivated some kind of cultivation technique. According to my guess, there are no more than 10 people in the first level of True God Realm who can defeat you. With your strength, you can definitely enter the Heavenly Transcendence ranking. Unfortunately, your realm hasn't reached the True God Realm. You're really a freak. Lei Tianlan continued to say. Senior Sister Tianlan, you didn't invite me here just to treat me to a drink, right? The more familiar Lei Tianlan was with him, the more Lin Ling felt that this woman was terrifying. In his life, he had encountered countless opponents. Some of them were shrewd and had a knife hidden in their smiles. Some of them were arrogant and direct, and they used force to sweep everything. Lei Tianlan was the enemy between the two. She was shrewd, but she was also arrogant and direct. She was hostile to Lin Ling, but she could talk to him like a friend. This was also the sign of an emperor. Ha! Marshal Lin Ling, I see that you didn't touch a drop of wine. Are you afraid that the wine is poisoned? Or are you afraid that sister-in-law will blame you for coming out to drink wine? Lei Tianlan didn't answer Lin Ling's question. Instead, she smiled and said, At this moment, she was like a woman, giving people a sense of charm. My wife never cares about what I do. As for the wine being poisoned, as long as it's wine, there's no wine that I, Lin Ling, don't dare to drink. Lin Ling smiled and picked up the wine glass to drink. He also knew that if Lei Tianlan really wanted to hurt him, she would never poison the wine, because it was unnecessary. Chapter 26:02 Carouse. This is the 100 Immortals wine of the universe, brewed with 100 kinds of immortal flowers. Some immortal flowers grow in the void of the universe, which is hard to come by. Therefore, this wine is very good for warriors. However, there is one condition. You must be at the true immortal realm to drink this wine. Lei Tianlan also took a sip of the wine, her long hair fluttering in the wind. I don't think the great Marshal Lin Ling will be burned to death by wine. Her last sentence was filled with boundless domineering aura. At this time, Lin Ling's eyes had already turned red. Although this wine was precious, it could only be drunk by a true divinity realm martial artist. If a World King Realm martial artist were to drink this wine, it would be extremely dangerous. This should be a test. Although I, Lin Ling, have a cheap life and can't compare to the upper-class people of Qingzhou, a rotten ship still has 3 caddies of nails. Drinking wine is not enough to kill me. Lin Ling smiled faintly. Lei Tianlan's eyes flickered, but she also knew that Lin Ling must be enduring the burning, immortal wine. And that was indeed the case. Lin Ling, do you need my help? At the same time, Queen Xianxi's voice appeared in Lin Ling's mind. No need. This wine is also a double-edged sword. If it can't burn me, Lin Ling, to death, then I'll use this opportunity to advance to the next level. Lin Ling replied, gritting his teeth. He looked at the wine on the table, picked it up abruptly, and drank it again. At this moment, Lei Tianlan's face turned serious. This Lin Ling was crazy. Although this wine was precious, the way Lin Ling drank it, even true god realms did not dare. To carouse, what is life like? For example, the morning dew, the passing of days, is bitter. It is clear as the moon. When will it fade away? Worry came from within and could not be cut off. As the hot wine entered his throat, Lin Ling's heroic voice floated out at the same time. In reality, his dantian was already burning. His realm spirit was roaring. However, Lin Ling's arrogant attitude undoubtedly made Lei Tianlan think more highly of him. However, Lei Tianlan did not think that Lin Ling, who was only a world king, would be safe and sound. Sure enough, Lin Ling's mouth began to bleed. The wine was a double-edged sword. If it couldn't be refined, then it would be poisonous. Is that all? Lei Tianlan's eyebrows furrowed. At one point, she almost made a move. Don't be anxious, wait. But at this moment, a voice rose in her heart, calming her down. Sure enough, after the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the terrifying power on Lin Ling's body was withdrawn. Looking at Lin Ling again, he was still calmly drinking his wine, his face as calm as an ancient well. And most importantly, he had stepped into the peak World King realm. Realm, spirit god, realm. Universe 100 immortals wine. Even an immortal would be burned to death if they drank it, let alone a mere world king. This boy is truly fierce. Seeing this, Lei Tianlan cried out in alarm. At the very least, if she was at the World King realm, she absolutely wouldn't be able to endure this wine. She even believed that there were not many people in the World King realm who dared to drink this wine in the World realm. At this moment, Lei Tianlan paid more attention to Lin Ling. She knew that this was a strong man who had not yet risen. His potential was infinite. It was no wonder that those ancient powerhouses valued Lin Ling. Marshal Lin Ling, I don't know what you think about the future. Putting away her thoughts, Lei Tianlan smiled and said. However, Lin Ling was already drunk. Lei Tianlan, if you have something to say, just say it. Lin Ling's long hair was also dancing wildly. With the help of alcohol, his aura was like a sword. When his eyes fell on Lei Tianlan, it made her heart roar. What a sharp gaze. She clearly felt that Lin Ling was different. He was like an emperor who ruled the world. Although this was the effect of the wine, it was also Lin Ling's hidden pride. As expected of Marshal Lin Ling, you are straightforward. Then, I will go straight to the point. I invited you here today because I want you to join my Lane Manor, Lei Tianlan said. In fact, when she asked Lin Ling to drink, it was to test Lin Ling. After seeing Lin Ling's aura, she thought of recruiting Lin Ling. Condition, Lin Ling said indifferently. If you work for my Lane Manor for the rest of your life, I will make you a man above the rest and stand tall in Qingzhou. Lei Tianlan said, of course, if you become a member of my Lane Manor, you can't hide anything from us. You mean if I have any secrets, I can't hide them from Lane Manor, right? Lin Ling's eyes widened. Lei Tianlan nodded. This may be your only choice. Choice. I, Lin Ling, started from nothing and became the second generation of the martial god world. Do you think threats will work on me? My choice in life is based on myself, not on what others have given me. Lin Ling laughed and stood up suddenly. Lei Tianlan squinted her eyes, Marshal Lin Ling, you have to think carefully. Originally, she would not give Lin Ling any choice today. However, because of Lin Ling's previous achievements, she was moved and gave Lin Ling a chance to join the Lane Manor. Now, Lin Ling had rejected her. Of course, the consequences of rejecting her were obvious. Senior Sister Sky Orchid, I'll take my leave now. Thank you for the wine. Lin Ling sneered and left the seat. Lei Tianlan's face became gloomier. Being rejected was not a good feeling. Moreover, although she looked like a woman, her heart was overbearing. She had always been the one to control everything. However, Lin Ling, a junior in the World King realm, was even more overbearing than her. He was more like an emperor in front of her. The wine is not cold yet. Marshal Lin Ling, please stay for a while. Lei Tianlan's voice became cold. She stretched out her hand and flower petals formed a huge vortex that surged towards Lin Ling. Moreover, the petal vortex was filled with thunderous sounds. Her cultivation was at the second level of True God Realm, but her talent was not weak. Before the petals could get close to Lin Ling, a divine light spread out from Lin Ling's body to protect him. However, it was useless. Shura's sword array. However, Lin Ling had already guessed it. He continued to walk forward, and the ancient sword behind him flew out. The black sword pierced through the sky. Xiao! Xiao! 81 Shura swords shot out. The sword heart and chaotic energy collided with the petal vortex. Flame coffin. Lin Ling shouted again. He had drunk strong wine before, and now he could use this battle to refine the wine. Bang! Colorful flames soared into the sky. The flame coffin descended. Moreover, the flame coffin today was different. The mysterious coffin constantly trembled, as if some demon god was about to awaken. So powerful. Although this was not the first time Lei Tianlan had seen Lin Ling fight, it was the first time she faced him. This made her realize how terrifying Lin Ling was. This fellow was like a flame demon and a sword demon. He was not weak at all. If you had reached the True God Realm, I, Lei Tianlan, am confident that I would not be your opponent. But you are only at the World King realm. Lei Tianlan also stood up. Petals began to rain down from the sky, forming a storm that danced above the palace. Mysterious bamboos also appeared. Each bamboo was connected to the sound of thunder. Pa! Pa! Chapter 26:03. Go eat shit. What happened at the Flower Princess Pavilion? What a terrifying power. I've heard that the owner of the Flower Bee Pavilion has a powerful background. How dare someone behave so atrociously in the Flower Bee Pavilion? Qing Province is really full of strange things. At the foot of the Flowerjack Pavilion mountain range, many warriors exclaimed, "To carouse, life is short." Right at this moment, a furious shout resounded through the sky. Rumble! The 81 swords were accompanied by flames and surging willpower. They swept toward Lei Tianlan, causing the surrounding thunder bamboo to sway. I'm a second-level, True God Realm. This Lin Ling is actually giving me tremendous pressure. Lei Tianlan was more and more surprised. She knew that if she couldn't recruit Lin Ling, such a formidable opponent, she must destroy him. Arrogant Junior scram. Just as Lei Tianlan was about to make a move, a thunderbolt came down from the sky. It was as if the universal divine thunder had struck the 81 swords and sent them flying. Furthermore, the lightning condensed and formed the figure of an old woman. Grandma, this brat has gone too far. I can deal with him. Seeing this, Lei Tianlan frowned and complained. She had known that the old woman was hiding around. Let's end this quickly so as to avoid unnecessary trouble. The old woman naturally knew that Lei Tianlan could win, but Lin Ling was not a pushover. She would not be able to take him down without some time. That was why the old woman had personally taken action. Ignorant brat, can you still be so arrogant in front of me? Then, the old woman stared at Lin Ling as if she was staring at a slave. Old woman, who the fuck are you? Lin Ling was overwhelmed by the immortal wine. At this moment, his domineering aura was magnificent. Moreover, Lei Tianlan had snatched his things and openly provoked him. Therefore, he proudly pointed his sword at the old woman. The old woman was stunned. There was actually someone in Three Ring City who called her an old woman? Even in Sihuan City, no one dared to scold her like that. Junior, do you know who I am? The old woman flew into a rage. Who are you? Go ask your mother. I have no interest in knowing, old hag. Lin Ling roared like a newborn calf that was not afraid of a tiger. You're courting death. The old woman was so angry that she almost revealed her true form. Her old hand that was like firewood grabbed out, and her 5 fingers turned into lightning. It was so terrifying. This old woman was the current lord of the Thunder Manor and was formed from the Thunder Bamboo. She had been around for countless years. In her mind, she would definitely be able to capture Lin Ling easily. After that, she would naturally torture Lin Ling properly. However, as the giant lightning hand got closer and closer to Lin Ling, a frightening spider web shot out and actually wrapped around the giant lightning hand. Although it could not affect its power, it was clearly enough to disgust the old woman. Old woman, you said I was looking for death, but I'm still alive and well. Shouldn't you go and eat the shit of cows, toads, and horses? The anger in Lin Ling's heart grew stronger and stronger. Even the wine he drank before was burning up. Almost at the same time, a shadow appeared beside Lin Ling. It was Queen Xianxia. Sure enough, he has a secret. Seeing this, Lei Tianlan's face became solemn. Her grandmother had personally taken action, but she still failed to capture Lin Ling instantly. This Lin Ling should be proud of himself. Moreover, she saw that her noble grandmother was about to explode from anger because of Lin Ling's curses and words. In fact, if she were in Lei Tianlan's shoes, she would not be in a good mood either. He was obviously a weak junior, but he was extremely difficult to deal with. Moreover, he kept calling her an old hag without any etiquette. Great, you actually have a bitch. Then let's die together. The old woman was so angry that she laughed. She had been in the Great Azure Divine Dynasty for many years. When she met the Empress Dowager, the experts she met were all respectful to her. Therefore, she could not help but laugh at this moment. Bitch, I think you are the bitch. Your whole family are bitches, including that Lei Tianlan. You're just the incarnations of bamboo. Instead of being a bamboo or a bamboo stool, you can't provoke me, Lin Ling. It seems that you're tired of being bamboo. However, the old woman was so angry that she laughed. Lin Ling was also laughing. Lei Tianlan was enraged by his vicious words. However, before they could speak, Lin Ling's voice was heard again. I know that you want the space-time divine steel. Since you want it so much, I will give it to you. Following Lin Ling's roar, a huge stone tablet appeared in the sky and smashed down with a loud crash. That majestic scene caused the old woman to be dumbstruck. This is the space-time divine steel. Soon, the old woman became excited. Based on the aura, she knew that the divine steel was extraordinary, and such an ancient treasure was going to belong to her today. Thinking of this, she became even more excited. She was even afraid that the appearance of the space-time divine steel would attract the attention of the powerhouses in Three Ring City and compete with her for the treasure. Lei Tianlan was also stunned, but she was much calmer. Grandma, be careful. As soon as she finished speaking, the space-time divine steel was already in sight. Its terrifying aura was about to destroy the entire flowerbed pavilion. At this moment, the old woman finally recovered from her excitement. However, at this moment, Lin Ling's angry voice was heard. You want the space-time divine steel? Go eat shit. Boom. However, before she could react, the space-time divine steel had already crashed down. Boom, boom, boom. The entire flowerbed pavilion was turned into dust. The rumbling sound almost spread throughout Three Ring City. No one expected Lin Ling's desperate attack to be so terrifying. Lin Ling, how do you feel? Yes. Amidst the dust, Queen Xianxia supported Lin Ling and asked, The immortal wine is still burning my boundary spirit and attacking my mind and soul. It won't be long before I fall into a deep sleep. Lin Ling forced himself to calm down. He said anxiously, Let's leave this place immediately. With the space-time divine steel's power, the old woman can still stop it. Where should we go? Queen Xianxia frowned and asked. This was also a huge problem. In Three Ring City, Lin Ling could not fly even if he had wings. Moreover, once the space-time divine steel appeared, many powerhouses might be eyeing it covetously. They might take advantage of Lin Ling's weakened state to kill Lin Ling and steal the treasure. The cliff. But soon, Lin Ling's eyes lit up as he looked at the edge of the flowerbed pavilion. One should know that the cliff was extremely mysterious. When Lin Ling first arrived, he scanned the cliff with his soul power. However, he could not see the bottom of the cliff. Perhaps there was a way out. While he was talking, Lin Ling was shocked to see the space-time divine steel slowly rising into the air. Under the steel, the old woman was holding the space-time divine steel with both hands. This old woman, Lin Ling, had to admit defeat. Let's go. Time was running out. With Queen Xianxia's help, Lin Ling shot towards the cliff. Tianlan, they are escaping. Stop them. The old woman, who was holding the tablet, couldn't help but yell in anger when she saw Lin Ling's actions. Where do you think you are going? Lei Tianlan was not injured because the old woman was holding the space-time divine steel. She turned into a bolt of lightning and shot towards Lin Ling. A crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. The old woman is a bitch, and the young one is a bitch too. Chapter 2604. A single stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. Woo-woo. Lei Tianlan couldn't resist the terrible spider web with the power of chaos. She was immediately tied up tightly, and even her mouth was sealed. If not for the fact that they were in a hurry, Qianji would have killed her already. Thunder Echo Manor. Today's grudge has been settled. If I, Lin Ling, do not die, then your Thunder Echo Manor will disappear from this world. I, Lin Ling, hereby swear. Both the old woman and Lei Tianlan heard Lin Ling's indifferent voice. At that moment, they felt a chill in their hearts. Blood oath. This was a blood oath made with the martial arts heart of a martial artist. If Lin Ling could not complete it, then his martial path would collapse. This also meant that Lin Ling and the Thunder Mansion would not rest until one of them was dead. Before they could react, Lin Ling and Queen Xianxia had already jumped off the cliff. At the same time, the space-time divine steel in the sky also instantly disappeared. It turned into a ray of light and followed closely behind Lin Ling. Junior, where are you going? Well, had the old woman ever suffered such a great loss? She chased after Lin Ling, but when she reached the edge of the cliff, she stopped abruptly, because she was very clear about the taboo below the cliff. In Qingzhou, there were many taboo places that even she did not dare to enter. The cliff in Sanhuan City was one of them. According to legend, it was a secret of the Great Qing divine dynasty that the bottom of the cliff led to the 10,000 hells. However, it was undeniable that those who fell off the cliff would definitely die. Back then, there was also a fierce battle in Qing State. There were ancient experts who wanted to overthrow the divine dynasty, but the current emperor appeared and captured all the experts alive. He then threw them into the 10,000 prison. At that time, because it was overcrowded, some people were thrown into the prison from a cliff. The old woman still remembered this memory to this day. Bastard! When she thought of this, the old woman immediately roared towards the sky. Lin Ling's death was a small matter, but she had missed the opportunity to obtain the divine steel of time and space. As for Lei Tianlan, she was also stunned. Her eyes were full of resentment, and when she thought of the blood oath Lin Ling made before he died, she shuddered. With Lin Ling's talent, if he did not die, the Thunder Sound Manor would have a powerful enemy. Of course, she also knew that it was taboo, so she still thought that Lin Ling would definitely die. This is clearly the first time this junior has come here. How does he know about the taboo? The old woman cursed angrily. If Lin Ling had fled in any other direction, he would never have been able to escape from the old woman's clutches. But who would have thought that Lin Ling would jump off the cliff, leaving her helpless? Today, it could be said that she had gone for wool and come home shorn. What happened? At this moment, an anxious voice sounded. In the sky, a powerhouse walked over. He was the sovereign marquis. He had sensed the aura of the divine steel of time and space, so he had immediately rushed over. In addition, powerhouses were also arriving in Three-Ring City one after another, causing the old woman's expression to turn even uglier. She did not expect that a mere Lin Ling would cause such a commotion in Three-Ring City. This was also the reason why she wanted to end the battle quickly. Unfortunately, she did not get her wish in the end. Lin Ling wanted to humiliate my granddaughter, so I killed him on the spot. The old woman said indifferently as she looked at the sky. What? Lin Ling is dead? He humiliated your granddaughter? If I remember correctly, his strength is only at the World King realm. The powerhouses all frowned and voiced their doubts. They felt that this was impossible. If I say so, then so be it. The old woman shouted, causing all the powerhouses to fall silent. Do you have evidence? However, there were still powerhouses who were not afraid of the old woman. At this moment, they flew over from afar. There were quite a few of them, and they were Vice President Gong and the others. My granddaughter is the evidence. Do you see? She is still tied up. If I did not come quickly, that bastard would have gotten away with it. The old woman's expression was still cold. Although everyone knew that she was lying through her teeth, she came from Foring City. She was not someone they could easily provoke. Nonsense. However, there was still someone who dared to scold the old woman. It was Marshal Chi Yuhu. Don't need to spout nonsense. Also, don't point at me. Otherwise, I will cut off all your fingers. The old woman's aura became even more terrifying and domineering. We will investigate this matter. If it is not as you say, the Thunder Sound Manor will have to give the Resplendent Academy an explanation. Vice President Gong pulled Chi Yuhu back and said with a serious face. He naturally did not believe the old woman's words. However, without evidence, he could not do anything for the time being. After all, the old woman was someone who could invite the Empress Dowager. Let's go. Vice President Gong then led the crowd away. The Marquis of Sovereign Justice and the others also left with cold expressions. However, they were puzzled. Was Lin Ling really dead? Could it be that the lord that was transformed from Lei Zhu had obtained the space-time divine steel? However, it did not seem like it. If the old woman had obtained the space-time divine steel, she should not have been angry. Moreover, the old woman's anger was not an act. It was as if her 18 generations of ancestors had been killed. She was truly angry. Lin Ling is not a pushover. I believe that he is not dead. The Marquis of Sovereign Justice muttered to himself. Of course, Vice President Gong and the others also thought so. However, everything now depended on the passage of time. That night, Three-Ring City was in an uproar. Even Two-Ring City and One-Ring City were in the same state. Rumors spread throughout the three great academies. Humiliating senior sister Tianlan? This Lin Ling thinks that he is a genius. It is his first time in Three-Ring City, and he is already so arrogant. He is really a frog in a well. The great Azure Divine Dynasty is full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. With his talent and strength, he can only be arrogant in the second generation. Interesting. This is really interesting. After learning about Lin Ling, many people were waiting to watch a good show. They were waiting to see what happened. Lin Ling is so bold. He actually dared to touch my fiancée. It would be good if he is really dead. If he is not, I will tear him into pieces. Of course, some people could not be in a joking mood. On the contrary, the angriest person was the Heaven Worship Battalion's Marshal Yucheng. This person was from the Fish Dragon Manor. This Gu Manor was also a force in Foring City. Furthermore, he was from the Heavenly Saint Academy. If Lin Ling was not there, he would be the youngest marshal among the 6 battalions. Most importantly, he had another identity. He was Lei Tianlan's fiancé. His fiancée had almost been taken advantage of. Naturally, he was the most furious. A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. Yu Yu and the others also received the news. They were all worried about Lin Ling. However, Vice Dean Gong comforted them. Lin Ling was a blessed person. He would definitely be able to overcome this crisis. What a sinister Lei Tianlan. She was greedy for Brother Ling's space-time divine steel. Seeing that her plan was exposed, she slandered Brother Ling and humiliated her. What a slut. Sister Gu'er, we have to work hard. We have to catch up to Lei Tianlan before Brother Ling comes back. We will avenge Brother Ling. Okay. Yu and the others were filled with fighting spirit. They started to work hard. Although they did not know whether Lin Ling was still alive, they still comforted themselves. After all, they firmly believed that Lin Ling would not die so easily. Chapter 2605. A Glimmer of Hope. At the same time, no one knew that Lin Ling and Queen Xianxia were still shooting down from the cliff. Moreover, a terrifying suction force was born, pulling at them, making it difficult for them to resist. As for Lin Ling, his mind was still being burned by the immortal wine. But on the brink of death, he forced himself to calm down. This cliff is so deep. We've been falling for half a day. Queen Xianxia supported Lin Ling with a grim face. However, at last, a huge whirlpool appeared at the bottom of the cliff. The whirlpool spun as if it was a forbidden land of death. The rocks and grass at the edge of the cliff were sucked into it and immediately turned into ashes. Rumble. A terrifying suction force was born, and the vortex was just like the eye of the heavens. Not good. We've encountered a great vortex formed by the collision of two worlds. Lin Ling's expression became even more solemn. It had to be known that when two worlds collided, a terrifying impact force would be born. This was especially true for great worlds, and this kind of impact force would intertwine with each other and eventually form a vortex. Let alone a true god. Even a martial god would not dare to easily approach these whirlpools. Are we going to die? Hearing this, Queen Xianxia's face turned pale. As a matter of fact, Lin Ling's eyes were also fixed on the cliff. No wonder the old witch didn't chase after him. It turned out that the bottom of the cliff was a forbidden area with no chance of survival. Lin Ling, I originally wanted to watch you grow up and defeat the Sovereign Marquis for me. Unfortunately, this wish of mine will not be fulfilled. Perhaps I am a jinx who will drag down the people around me for the rest of my life. As death approached, Queen Xianxia's voice became softer. She, who used to be as domineering as a queen, now revealed a timid attitude. In the past, because of me, my entire clan was wiped out. I felt guilty for 10,000 years, because I was the one who brought the Marquis of Sovereign Heaven wielding here. I let down my people and caused their deaths. Xianxia's tears flowed down her cheeks. Lin Ling was stunned. This was the first time he saw Xianxia's weak side. He could imagine the pain in Xianxia's heart. She had been responsible for the deaths of her clan for 10,000 years. No wonder Xianxia was so fierce to everyone. If it weren't for the deal between them, she wouldn't be with him. Let's not talk about this. Maybe I'm the one who caused you trouble. I'm a jinx. My family and friends suffered a lot. Lin Xianxia suddenly, Queen Xianxia, Xianxia, of Xianxia, Xianxia, of Qianji of Sovereign Heaven, of Qianji, Qianji of Qianji, Qian of Qian of Sovereign Heaven. So what if I'm unlucky? Of Qian of Sovereign God of Sovereign, of Qian Ian of Sovereign of Sovereign Qian, of Qian Ling of Sovereign Qian, QOF Qian of Qian of. No, that wasn't confidence, but tenacity. Of her, of heaven. Moreover, we still have a glimmer of hope. Lin Ling's 10,000 mammoth demonic eyes were also staring at the vortex. He was determined to fight to the death. There is no such thing as absolute invincibility in the universe. Everything has its weakness. He forcefully suppressed the effect of the wine and calmed down. Then he used his 10,000 mammoth demonic eyes to find the weakness of the vortex. The vortex kept spinning. If one could find the path of the vortex and enter it, they would not be torn apart. Instead, they would be carried away by the vortex. Of course, it was easier said than done. However, Lin Ling did not have much time left. The two of them were like dust. They were getting closer and closer to the giant eye. From afar, it was a spectacular scene. Those who were not mentally stable would have fainted. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Lin Ling kept shouting and pointing out directions. The vortex's path was constantly changing. Of course, the 1,000-mammoth demonic eyes kept changing directions to avoid being torn apart. All right, life and death. This is the moment. If I, Lin Ling, die, I will be satisfied. Before I die, I can take a beauty with me. That is enough. Finally, Lin Ling shouted. Beside him, the 1,000-mammoth demonic eyes was stunned. Then, she could not help but laugh. Lin Ling was very carefree. Of course, she knew that Lin Ling did not want her to feel too much pressure. Lin Ling did not want to die. Also, there were too many people waiting for Lin Ling's return. Rumble. A deafening sound was heard. The two of them were sucked into the vortex. At this moment, everything in the world disappeared without a trace. After an unknown amount of time, a young man quietly floated up from a raging river with towering waves. With the impact of the waves, he was gradually washed to the shore. The young man's face was flushed, and there was a strong smell of alcohol coming from him. There's someone here. What a strong smell of alcohol. Could it be that this guy got drunk and then fainted in the furious Tiger River? If this guy died, he would be the most tragic person in the world. 3 days passed in a blur. Then, a series of exclamations could be heard from the riverside. The three figures looked at the young man in shock. Because of the alcohol smell on his body, they thought that he was a drunkard. Hey, are you okay? Wake up. A sweet voice quietly sounded. It was as if she was urging Lin Ling in his dreams. Lin Ling's long eyelashes fluttered. Yu. Subconsciously, he shouted out, I'm not Yu. The sweet voice sounded again. A man's deep voice came from the side. This kid is still alive. He's really lucky. Lin Ling finally opened his eyes after being gently pushed by several people. After being stunned for a moment, he subconsciously smiled and said, I'm not dead yet. Then he realized that he was unharmed. But what about Queen Xianxia? He could not help but check her condition. He realized that Queen Xianxia was in a deep sleep in his body. She seemed to be seriously injured. He then remembered the huge vortex at the bottom of the cliff. He immediately understood that Queen Xianxia was trying her best to protect him. In the end, she was seriously injured, but Lin Ling was unharmed. Of course, this also meant that Lin Ling was able to find a flaw in the huge vortex at the critical moment. He was not torn apart. As long as I'm alive, there's still hope. Lane Manor, Lin Ling, will find you sooner or later. Lin Ling's eyes turned cold and merciless. However, after he checked his body, he helplessly discovered that the power of the celestial wine was still there. It was as if his dantian had been sealed, making it difficult for him to activate all his power. Bad news. Chapter 2606. Another flame world fragment. Has this person gone crazy? Don't bother with him. In any case, he hasn't died, and we've done what we should have done. At this time, an old man lightly said, causing Lin Ling to regain his composure. He discovered that there were 3 people in front of him. One was a 16 to 17-year-old girl. She was sweet and cute, and the long robes she wore were loose. The style of her robes was different from those of the Blue Province, but she wasn't too strong. She was only at the first level of the World King realm. As for the other 2, they weren't much better. They were the old man and the big fellow. Both of them were only at the second level of the World King realm. These cultivations clearly couldn't threaten Lin Ling. Although Lin Ling's dantian was sealed away, his godly demon body wasn't weak. According to his estimation, with his godly demon body, he could easily defeat a 5th-level World King powerhouse. Thank you for your help. May I ask where this is? Lin Ling wanted to quickly figure out where he was. As he spoke, the 3 people looked at Lin Ling with strange expressions. The old man frowned. You haven't sobered up yet? Hearing this, Lin Ling was left speechless. He casually found an excuse and said that after being drunk his mind was a bit fuzzy. Thus he had forgotten many things. Hearing Lin Ling's explanation, the 3 people rolled their eyes. But as they saw that Lin Ling didn't release any spiritual energy, they also treated Lin Ling as an ordinary person. After some conversation, Lin Ling learned that this place was called the Flame World. Lin Ling was shocked. Could this place also be one of the Flame World fragments? It had to be known that at Radiant Academy, he had gone to one of the Flame World fragments. He also knew that the Flame World fragments had already been torn apart by the collision of powerhouses of the ancient era. Thus, it wasn't strange for one of the fragments to appear here. But did the great vortex below the cliff lead to one of the Flame World fragments? No. The great vortex was born from the collision of worlds. This meant that after passing through the great vortex, one could appear in any corner of the universe. It was just that Lin Ling's luck was bad and he had arrived here. I need to wait for a period of time to make a breakthrough in my boundary. So, I can use this time to improve my ultimate flame path. Lin Ling thought to himself. Since he was here, he might as well make the best of it. While he was thinking, the three of them had already moved on. They were going to the Yin Emperor sect to participate in the disciple recruitment ceremony. The Yin Emperor sect was one of the top sects in the Flame World. It had to be known that in the Flame World, all martial artists cultivated fire attribute cultivation methods. However, fire attribute cultivation methods were extremely rare and only appeared in ancient sects. Therefore, all martial artists in the Flame World hoped to join an ancient sect and cultivate a supreme cultivation method. Lin, wait, are you going to participate in the recruitment ceremony? I want to join too. Can you bring me along? Lin Ling hurriedly shouted. The three people in front stopped in their tracks. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. In their hearts, Lin Ling was a drunkard and an ordinary person. He wanted to join the recruitment ceremony. It was not that they looked down on him. It was just that Lin Ling had left them with a terrible impression. He fell into a river while drunk and almost drowned. Was there anyone more idiotic than him in this world? Brat, do you know what you're saying? The old man's expression was filled with suspicion. Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. He had cultivated for 1,000 years. In terms of age, he was probably older than the old man. He just looked younger. I want to join the Flame Emperor sect's recruitment ceremony. Then, Lin Ling said word by word to prove that he was not joking. However, after hearing his words, not only did the three of them not believe him, but they became even more suspicious. This young man had a delicate appearance, but they did not expect him to be brain damaged by alcohol. The Flame Emperor sect was the most prestigious sect in the Flame World. All cultivators yearned for it. How could it be so easy to join? Then let's bring him along. However, the young girl smiled and nodded. Even if he doesn't succeed, at least let him experience it. Miss, you are so kind. The old man and the other person sighed. Then, the four of them immediately set off. Along the way, Lin Ling found out that the young girl was called Xianxia. She was the daughter of a rich family. She represented Yang Jiajin in the recruitment ceremony. Yang Jiajin had placed all his hopes on Yang Xiaotian. He hoped that his daughter would become a dragon. He hoped that she would become outstanding. Yang Xiaotian also knew the expectations of her father. Therefore, she placed great importance on the recruitment ceremony. Lin Ling could even see that Yang Xiaotian was very nervous. Lin Ling recalled his memories of the time when he was learning martial arts in the Guyan sect. At that time, he was also very nervous. Look on the bright side. Sometimes, there is not only one path to take in martial arts. Lin Ling smiled and comforted her. For a young girl like Yang Xiaotian, entering a powerful sect was the only way out. But in reality, when Yang Xiaotian grew up, she would know that the path of martial arts was not the final choice. What do you know? However, the old man and the man immediately refuted. They thought that Lin Ling was teaching Yang Xiaotian bad things. They looked down on Lin Ling from the bottom of their hearts. At such a young age, he was fond of wine and did not do proper work. They thought that he would not have any future. Hearing this, Lin Ling shrugged and did not speak anymore. Along the way, the old man looked down on Lin Ling even more. His words were filled with disdain. It was as if he was afraid that Lin Ling would teach his young miss bad things. After a day, the so-called Flame Emperor sect appeared in the mountains ahead. Flames soared into the sky and burned the huge mountain. What was surprising was that when they got close, they could not feel any heat. Flame World Fragment. Lin Ling frowned. He felt the flames in his body boiling, as if there was a call. What's going on? What? Lin Ling was shocked. He then realized that the evil flame change seemed to have produced an anomaly. Is the evil flame change reacting to the Flame World Fragment? What is it hiding? Lin Ling was puzzled. But now, he could only enter the Flame Emperor's sect to find out everything. Lin Ling's constantly changing expression made the old man and the man smile even more disdainfully. They thought that Lin Ling was shocked by the grandeur of the Flame Emperor's sect. As expected, he was a country bumpkin. The disciple recruitment ceremony has ended. Everyone, please return. At this time, a voice came from the ancient mountain gate, causing the expressions of many youths at the foot of the mountain to change drastically, because they had not participated in the disciple recruitment ceremony yet. We're late, but the disciple recruitment ceremony is today. Xianxia's expression also changed drastically. They had come from afar, but if they were chased away, how could they return to their hometown? Isn't the disciple recruitment ceremony 3 days? Of course, the surrounding youths who were learning martial arts immediately asked, unwilling to give up. Moreover, they saw that there were still youths walking down the stairs and entering the Flame Emperor's sect. This stunned them. Chapter 26:07. You're the one who was beaten by me. Moreover, if the young miss were to return in failure, everyone would kick her while she was down. There would be many people in Xianxia who would laugh at her. Thinking of this, the old man quickly walked over, and in front of the steps leading to the entrance, there were a dozen figures standing there. They wore blue robes and had their hands behind their backs. Although they weren't old, they had a dignified air about them. As for their strength, they weren't weak. They were all at the second stage of the World King realm. Of course, this strength was still weak to Lin Ling. Seniors, isn't this disciple recruitment ceremony supposed to last for 3 days? The old man cupped his hands together and bowed, his attitude very humble. Old man, are you deaf? If I say it's over, it's over. One of the youths indifferently said, his words mixed with a domineering aura. But them, the old man immediately pointed to the front. There were still youths walking up the steps. At this time, the blue-robed youths all smiled meaningfully. The leader didn't speak. He gently stretched out a hand. The old man was also a shrewd person. He immediately understood and quickly took out some spirit stones with a smile. It turned out that the disciple recruitment ceremony hadn't ended, but the disciples guarding the entrance were greedy. If they didn't pay up, they would directly tell them to scram. What is the meaning of this? Are you trying to curry favor with me? Who do you think I am? Scram immediately. However, after the spirit stones were taken out, the blue-robed youth was clearly disdainful. To him, spirit stones weren't even worth his attention, unless he had flame crystals. Country bumpkin, scram. The other blue-robed disciples also angrily shouted, as if they were being mocked. Ah! The old man clearly couldn't react in time. Pung! But at this time, the blue-robed youth had already attacked. He kicked out, sending the old man tumbling away like a gourd. Do you want me to kick you before you scram? Everyone looked at this scene in a daze. Suddenly, they understood that the old man's reward was too small. The Flame Emperor's sect's disciples didn't even care. However, to Xianxia, those spirit stones were equivalent to Yang Jiaxin's annual income. Yang Xiaotian could still vaguely remember how her grandfather's aged hands trembled when he passed those spirit stones to her. Because these spirit stones were spirit stones that the Yang family had scrimped and saved for. However, this blood and sweat was simply unworthy of the eyes of others. This meant that Yang Xiaotian had been eliminated. The old man sat on the ground, clenching his fists and pounding the ground in pain. He also understood what had happened. They didn't give enough money. It's all my fault, all my fault. The old man continuously slapped his own face. He felt extremely guilty and tears streamed down his face. If I had worked harder, Miss would have been able to enter the Yin Emperor sect. He screamed in pain, but the youths nearby didn't sympathize with him. Instead, they sneered. They obviously couldn't wait to have one less competitor. Some people even laughed out loud. Uncle Shu, it's not your fault. It's my fault. Yang Xiaoyan's face was covered in tears as well. She helped the old man to his feet, but their expressions were extremely sad as well, because they were about to return home. However, at this moment, a figure walked out and slowly walked towards the blue-robed young man. "What are you doing?" The man beside the old man immediately cried out in alarm, because the young man who walked out was actually the drunkard Lin Ling. But Lin Ling didn't seem to hear his shouts. He arrived in front of the blue-robed youth and looked at him indifferently. What's the meaning of this? The blue-robed youth clearly didn't understand Lin Ling's actions. Slap. But in the next moment, he understood. The crisp sound of slap landed on his face, and it was from the person in front of him. "You hit me." This time, the blue-robed youth was shocked. The Yin Emperor sect disciples behind him were also shocked. Even the youths who were about to give him money were all gaping in shock. To them, the Yin Emperor sect was no different from a divine gate in the sky. It was something they had to look up to. In fact, they didn't even dare to speak loudly here. But this guy had slapped the Yin Emperor sect disciple. Is this guy crazy? In fact, even Yang Xiaotian and the rest were dumbfounded. Could it be that Lin Ling was drunk again? "Yes, I hit you." At this moment, Lin Ling slowly spoke. Although he wasn't familiar with Yang Xiaotian and the rest, he had seen how much importance Yang Xiaotian placed on this disciple recruitment. But because of their greed, these guys had forcefully wiped out a young girl's wish. Lin Ling couldn't stand it anymore. So he made a move. "Do you know who I am?" The blue-robed youth touched his cheek and laughed crazily. Slap. But what greeted him was a slap, a crisp slap. "I only know that you are the one who was slapped by me." After the slap, there were still those lazy words. This tyrannical action undoubtedly silenced everyone. The old man was the first to react. "This has nothing to do with us. This guy is drunk. He's using alcohol as an excuse to go crazy." In fact, he didn't understand why Lin Ling was so arrogant. But obviously, it was better to distance himself from this matter. However, the Yin Emperor sect disciples didn't care about him at all. They were furious. "Kill him!" The young man in the lead roared out. Boom! The Yin Emperor sect was an extremely famous sect in the flame world. When had they ever been humiliated like this? So, the disciples attacked one after another. Flames erupted from their bodies. Between their fists and palms, flames soared to the sky and smashed towards Lin Ling. From afar, it looked like countless infernal gods had attacked. What a powerful move! The surrounding youths didn't care about Lin Ling's safety. Instead, they were shocked by the Yin Emperor sect's moves. As expected of the Yin Emperor sect, these martial arts were so profound. In their hearts, they were afraid that Lin Ling would be burned alive. Moreover, everything went smoothly. Lin Ling didn't do anything and was hit by a large number of disciples just like that. When will this guy wake up? Sigh, drinking has killed him. The old man sighed softly. Lin Ling didn't fight back. He thought that Lin Ling had drunk too much. But at this moment, a loud boom sounded, as if a giant had descended. Bang, bang, bang. The Yin Emperor sect disciples flew out like kites with their strings cut. It was as if they had suffered a heavy blow. At the same time, Lin Ling's figure appeared in front of everyone. The most frightening thing was that he was safe and sound. Such a scene was no doubt demonic. After all, everyone had seen that Lin Ling didn't seem to have any spiritual energy in his body. He was simply an ordinary person among ordinary people. However, such an ordinary person was actually able to face the siege of the Yin Emperor sect's disciples and remain unscathed. This couldn't be a dream, right? What's going on? At this moment, a dignified voice sounded. Then, a meteor shot out from the mountain and smashed into the ground. Rumble. The ground shook. A tall and sturdy middle-aged man slowly stood up and looked at everyone indifferently. He wore a red robe and looked ordinary, but he had the aura of an infernal god's fury. Lin Ling also smiled as he looked at this person. To his surprise, he discovered that this fellow actually had an 8th grade awakened divine body. However, his realm wasn't high, only at the 8th stage of the World King realm. He was a martial artist who had talent, but couldn't display it. Chapter 2608. The Secret of the Yin Emperor Sect. Elder, this person is openly attacking in the Yin Emperor Sect. The disciples climbed to their feet and spoke angrily. Surprisingly, the middle-aged man didn't say anything. Instead, he frowned and looked at Linling. In the end, he said indifferently, "Your strength is not simple." Although Linling looked very young, he was able to defeat the guarding disciple. His strength was indeed impressive. Most importantly, he discovered that Linling didn't seem to have any spiritual energy in his body. If he was already so powerful without any spiritual energy, what would happen if he cultivated the Yin Emperor Sect's cultivation technique and developed spiritual energy? He was obviously a genius. The surrounding people also felt that something was amiss. Could it be that the middle-aged man had developed a fondness for talent? However, Linling's following words caused everyone to be dumbstruck, including the middle-aged man. "Your talent is not bad." Linling's words were like the advice of a senior, and there was no respect in his tone. At this moment, the crowd began to wonder if Linling would be beaten to death by that senior. "Haha, interesting. Follow me into the Yin Emperor Sect." However, the middle-aged man didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled appreciatively. "Elder, this." The surrounding disciples were all dumbfounded. They wanted to see Linling being taught a lesson. "I know about your little tricks in front of the mountain gate, and I don't object, but don't go too far." The middle-aged man looked around, and his voice turned cold. Hearing this, the faces of the surrounding disciples turned pale, and they did not dare to speak anymore. As for Linling, he followed the middle-aged man into the Yin Emperor Sect. The whole process was very casual. "He's actually so powerful." Xianxia and the others were stunned on the spot, as if they couldn't believe what they were seeing. Was he still the alcoholic in their hearts? Was this still a youth who didn't do proper work? This was especially true for the old man and the young man. Their faces were filled with embarrassment, but very quickly, sadness took over their faces. This was because they were about to return home and face Yang Jiaxin's ridicule. Yang Xiaotian, what are you still standing there for? However, at this moment, a faint voice suddenly sounded out, causing Yang Xiaotian to be stunned. She discovered that the one who spoke was Linling. "Didn't you want to enter the Yin Emperor Sect and win glory for your hometown? Why are you still in a daze?" Linling's voice floated over again. Boom! Yang Xiaotian's heart immediately thundered as tears rolled down her cheeks. "Young miss, can she do it?" That elder was also like this, extremely excited. "It should be fine. At least this uncle." No, this senior didn't object. Linling smiled and looked at the middle-aged man beside him. The middle-aged man nodded. To him, Linling was a genius and was worthy of entering the Yin Emperor Sect. As for Yang Xiaotian, she was dispensable. If she wanted to enter the Yin Emperor Sect, then so be it. "All right." Seeing the middle-aged man nod, Yang Xiaotian shouted excitedly and ran towards Linling. She knew very well that if it weren't for Linling, she would have gone home in disgrace. When she got home, she would only be able to see her grandfather sighing incessantly and receive the ridicule of her neighbors. But now, she had been reborn and had entered the Yin Emperor Sect. Thank you, thank you." The elder kept shouting and almost knelt down to express his gratitude. Moreover, when he thought of how he had mocked Linling along the way, he immediately felt guilty. Especially when Linling had taught those disciples a lesson. He had distanced himself from Linling. This made it even harder for him to raise his head and look at Linling. Fortunately, the young man didn't seem to care about all this. This made the elder suddenly think that the young man and him were from different worlds. It seems like they didn't need to go through the test, and directly became disciples of the Yin Emperor Sect. No way. This seems very unfair. I'm so envious of them. Impossible. The Yin Emperor Sect has its own rules. They definitely have to test them. The surrounding youths were all envious. The two of them have completely become disciples of the Yin Emperor sect. But at this time, the middle-aged man didn't even look at the youths. After saying this, he led Lin Ling and Xianxia forward. He was an elder, so he had the final say. The surrounding youth were all stunned and even more envious. Of course, even so, after entering the Yin Emperor sect, the elders still specially tested Lin Ling. As for Lin Ling, he naturally passed the test with ease, alarming a group of elders. In fact, Lin Ling had restrained himself. Otherwise, it would have alerted the entire Yin Emperor sect. In the following days, Lin Ling obtained the Yin Emperor sect's cultivation technique. Unfortunately, it didn't catch his eye at all. Of course, he was only putting on an act to cultivate a little. In fact, he was more curious about the Yin Emperor sect's secret. This was because during this period of time, he had discovered that his demonic flame transformation seemed to have changed even more. This was the first time Lin Ling had encountered something like this. After all, the demonic flame transformation was just a cultivation technique. It seemed to have awakened a spirit of its own. It was extremely strange. This meant that the Yin Emperor sect definitely had something that could move the demonic flame transformation. However, Lin Ling didn't dare to investigate carelessly. After all, the overall strength of the Yin Emperor sect wasn't strong. However, he had secretly investigated and found that there was an expert hidden here who couldn't be underestimated. His strength was around the stage 3 True God realm. Before he made a breakthrough in his realm, Lin Ling naturally wouldn't alert the enemy. Once he entered the True God realm, Lin Ling believed that the mysterious expert wouldn't be his match. Besides that, Lin Ling also began to look for a way out. However, when he checked the ancient records, he discovered that this place was huge and there seemed to be no way out. If there was, it might be in the Yin Emperor sect. This was because it was recorded in the ancient records that a long, long time ago, the martial artists here didn't practice martial arts. Later on, many mysterious people came from nowhere and created several sections. In the end, martial arts became rampant in this world. To the people of this world, practicing martial arts was the only way out. It was also the only way to become a top person. All of this made Lin Ling guess that these mysterious people might not be local residents, but outsiders. Obviously, they were trapped here, and in the end, martial arts sprouted and took in disciples. Therefore, if he could reach the peak of this fragment, he would definitely be able to find a way out. While he was investigating, Lin Ling was also cultivating. He had a feeling that if he broke through, both of his Danshians would enter the True God realm. In addition to the Ashura sword formation and evil flame change, he was confident that he wouldn't be afraid of a stage 2 True God. He might even be able to fight a stage 3 True God. At that time, he would be able to defeat Lei Tianlan easily. Other than cultivating, Lin Ling would also check on Qianji Queen occasionally. However, she seemed to be heavily injured and was in a deep sleep. "Lin Ling, are you there?" On this day, in Lin Ling's quiet wooden house, a smile could be heard. It was Xianxia. Xianxia had already treated Lin Ling as a big brother. When she encountered something she didn't understand, she would secretly ask Lin Ling for advice. The results were good, especially when it came to fire-based martial arts. Lin Ling's answers were more comprehensive than the elders in the sect. If it weren't for the fact that Lin Ling's cultivation increased very slowly during the test, Yang Xiaotian would have treated Lin Ling as an elder. Chapter 2609. Trading Team. Elder Chun was the middle-aged man from before. Although Lin Ling's cultivation was slow and caused many elders to oppose Lin Ling, Elder Chun still valued Lin Ling. He believed that Lin Ling was a well-prepared genius. If he had the opportunity, he would definitely become a talent. Lin Ling was grateful for this. However, Elder Chun was right. When the time came, Lin Ling would not only become a talent, but he would also dominate this fragment of the flame world. After that, Lin Ling and Yang Xiaotian left and arrived at the mountain gate. There were already many disciples waiting there, whispering to each other. One had to know that the Meiyu sect was also a big sect in the flame world. Together with the Taichu sect and the Yin Emperor sect, they were known as the three great martial worlds. The Yin Emperor sect was backed by the fire treasure soil. This divine fire soil could increase the talent of fire-type martial artists. The Meiyu sect was in charge of the flame crystals. Hence, for the sake of cultivation, they would trade with each other. Every time they traded, it would be a great honor for the disciples who were sent out. Hence, these disciples were very excited, as if their strength had been recognized. The person leading the team this time was said to be the daughter of the sect master, Yin Yu. She had inherited the sect master's legacy and was the #1 genius of the Yin Emperor sect. While waiting for Yin Yu, the disciples were also talking about how beautiful and powerful the senior sister was. "Oh, this is the Lin Ling that Elder Chun recommended?" Someone suddenly looked at Lin Ling. One had to know that the disciples of the Yin Emperor sect were divided into ranks. The lowest rank was the Mountain Guarding Disciple, followed by the Outer Mountain Disciple and Inner Mountain Disciple. Lin Ling was an Inner Mountain Disciple. This kind of disciple didn't have to do anything. Many people were jealous. However, when Lin Ling first entered the Yin Emperor sect, he was indeed a little powerful. However, after that, he was only a flash in the pan. Hence, many people were unhappy with him. "Greetings, senior brother." Lin Ling smiled. "This is how you greet your senior brother? Do you have any luggage?" Who would have thought that the senior brother would shout coldly and send a heavy slap toward him? Because, although Lin Ling called him senior brother, he didn't seem to treat him as a senior brother. Seeing this, Lin Ling frowned slightly. This guy was too arrogant. Then, when he saw the slap coming, Lin Ling did not do anything. He stretched out one hand and easily received the slap. "You're courting death." The senior brother felt humiliated. Flames immediately rose from his arm, wanting to burn Lin Ling's hand. But at this moment, a cold shout suddenly sounded, "Stop!" Subsequently, a few figures walked over. The woman in the lead was not tall, but she had an exquisite figure. Her hair was tied up in a ponytail, and she looked valiant and formidable. After she arrived, a powerful aura spread out. Seeing this, the senior brother's expression changed, and he hurriedly retracted the flames. However, Lin Ling was still holding his arm. "You stop as well. If it weren't for me, you would have been burned by his flames." The ponytailed woman frowned again and looked sternly at Lin Ling, because when the senior brother saw that she had arrived, he immediately retracted his arrogance. However, Lin Ling did not stop. He did not know how to appreciate favors. The true path of fire is not enough to activate flames. Only those who have comprehended the path of fire can truly display the power of the path of fire. Lin Ling said calmly, because, although the senior brother's talent was not bad, he did not have the ultimate path of fire. He was also someone who had talent, but could not use it. Therefore, his flames could not burn Lin Ling's god-demon body at all. However, Lin Ling was speaking the truth. When his words fell into the ears of the people around him, they immediately gasped, because Lin Ling had actually spoken to the eldest senior sister in such a tone. Most importantly, Lin Ling was someone who only had brute force, but no spiritual energy. He was dead meat. This trash was dead meat. That was what all the disciples were thinking. However, the woman only glanced at Lin Ling indifferently, then waved her hand domineeringly. "Be on your way." She did not make things difficult for Lin Ling. Perhaps it was because Lin Ling was too weak, or perhaps it was because she was the eldest senior sister. In any case, she did not blame Lin Ling. This time, the surrounding disciples' jaws dropped. Of course, they could also see that the eldest senior sister was a little angry, and the fuse was Lin Ling. Lin Ling, she is the sect leader's daughter, Yin Yu. Hurry. At this time, Xianxia hurried over and reminded him with a pale face. Lin Ling could not help but be stunned. He did not care before, because he did not know the other party's identity. "Why aren't you letting go of my hand? Hurry." As for the senior brother who had attacked, he was furious. Lin Ling was still holding his hand while he was in a daze. Most importantly, he could not break free. "Sorry," Lin Ling replied lazily. With a wave of his hand, the senior brother staggered back, embarrassed even more, and Lin Ling's apology didn't seem to be sincere. What are you all doing? If the time is delayed, you can bear the consequences. At this time, Yin Yiyu's voice was heard again. She seemed even more dissatisfied. Yes, eldest senior sister. Yes. None of the disciples dared to be negligent, but their hatred for Lin Ling grew. Lin Ling did not know what was good for him and caused the eldest senior sister to be angry, but she vented her anger on everyone. They were obviously implicated by Lin Ling. Along the way, none of the disciples looked at Lin Ling kindly. Even Yin Yiyu was the same. Although she was the sect leader's daughter, she was not unruly and did things methodically. That was why she did not blame Lin Ling. Regarding this, Lin Ling was completely speechless. He had been cultivating in the Yin Emperor sect for 3 reasons. First, he was waiting for a breakthrough. Second, he wanted to see the secrets of a Yin Emperor sect. Third, he wanted to find a way out. He did not intend to provoke anyone, but who knew that things would change. Not only had he angered the disciples, but he had also angered the sect leader's daughter. Lin Ling, eldest senior sister, is very dissatisfied with you. Even Yang Xiaotian could see the atmosphere. I know. Lin Ling was even more depressed. He hoped that nothing bad would happen. However, his depressed look made Yang Xiaotian speechless. She saw that Lin Ling did not seem to be anxious at all. Instead, he looked indifferent. This flame world is full of fire-based martial artists, but their talents are not weak. Lin Ling thought to himself as he followed the crowd. There were many people in the Yin Emperor sect who were more talented than him. They had awakened divine bodies above 5th grade. However, in terms of martial arts experience and knowledge, they were far inferior. Wait, are we going this way? After walking for a day, vast mountains appeared in front of them. The temperature had also quietly increased. At this time, a voice came from the group. It was Lin Ling's voice. Just follow obediently. What are you talking about? The disciples immediately reprimanded him. However, Lin Ling ignored them and continued to look at Yin Yifan. Although Yin Yiyu was dissatisfied with Lin Ling, she still had the demeanor of an eldest senior sister. She said indifferently, "This is the closest path to the Meiyu sect. The sooner we complete the mission, the better we can go back. There seems to be something wrong with this path." However, Lin Ling still spoke. Chapter 26:10. The mysterious black-robed man. Something's wrong. Yin Yiyu couldn't help but laugh. Do you know how many times our Flame Emperor sect has traded with Meiyu sect? If you can answer, then I'll do as you say. Hearing this, Lin Ling was stunned. He really didn't know. Newbie, our Flame Emperor sect has traded with Meiyu sect hundreds of times. Don't pretend to know. Stop being so mysterious. Even if something happens, just run away obediently. We'll protect you. The other disciples immediately mocked him. The 2 sects had traded with each other hundreds of times. This meant that the Flame Emperor sect had walked this path hundreds of times and had always been safe. Therefore, no one would believe Lin Ling's words. They all thought that Lin Ling was talking nonsense. Let's go. Yin Yiyu was even more so. Everyone walked along the canyon, talking and laughing. But at the back of the group, Lin Ling frowned. This was because his soul force sensed several powerful auras shooting towards them from the front. These people were very fast, and their strength was around the 5th level of the World King realm. They weren't people that the group could resist. Of course, if they were friends, then it wouldn't be a problem. But if they were enemies, then it would be troublesome. Yin Yiyu was indeed the eldest senior sister. In just a moment, she also sensed that something was wrong and immediately ordered the group to stop. Almost at the same time, a huge net of fire appeared in the sky above the canyon, sealing the canyon tightly. Several figures wearing black robes walked over step by step. Their eyes were filled with ominous glints. Who are you? Yin Yiyu couldn't help but be surprised. This was the first time she had encountered such a situation. However, those people didn't say much. They took a step forward and shot over. A huge amount of world essence accompanied by flames shot out. This kind of attack would directly take a person's life. Yin Yiyu's expression instantly changed. The disciples behind her also narrowed their eyes. Previously, Lin Ling had said that there was something wrong with this path. At that time, they thought that this was a path that they often walked, so they didn't think that anything would happen. In the end, something did happen. They thought that Lin Ling was talking nonsense, but Lin Ling's fart became reality. Bang! The mysterious black-robed men were merciless. Fire snakes shot out from their palms, wrapping around the Yin Emperor's sect's disciples. They groaned in pain and fell to the ground, unconscious. A fifth-stage world king is not someone we can contend with. Leave the canyon immediately. Yin Yiyu immediately let out a delicate shout when she sensed how terrifying the newcomer was. Her entire body also blossomed with blue flames, which was extremely extraordinary. Retreat. Those disciples who were chatting and laughing earlier at this moment wished they could grow another pair of legs and leave this place. But even so, a few of them died one after another. The most ironic thing was that before they came, they had vowed that if anything happened, they would protect him. But now, they were running away faster than anyone else. Exterminate them all. Seeing the disciples trying to escape, those mysterious black-robed figures became even more ruthless. Boom! Boom! Within the canyon, explosions continued to ring out. Flames surged into the sky, turning the canyon into a volcano. However, Yin Yiyu had blocked a large number of experts. This allowed many disciples to escape from the canyon. Moreover, they did not even look back. They immediately ran towards the Yin Emperor's sect. Eldest senior sister had been abandoned by them at this moment. Xianxia and the remaining disciples did not escape because the fire net in the sky had already enveloped them, sealing off their escape route. Previously, a few disciples had tried to rush out of the fire net, but in the end, they were cut into pieces and died miserably. With their escape route sealed, it was obvious that they would not be able to escape. Of course, Yin Yiyu was in the most danger because she had blocked the most of the mysterious black-robed men. Her talent was not weak, but unfortunately, her cultivation level was too low. It was only a matter of time before she was defeated. Plum Moon, Flaming Flames. Yin Yiyu let out a cry of surprise after exchanging a palm strike with an expert. You guessed right. The other party was an old man. His face was cold as he nodded. You are from the Plum Moon sect? Yin Yiyu seemed to have guessed something. There's no harm in telling you. We are indeed from the Plum Moon sect. I know that you want to tell the Yin Emperor's sect, but unfortunately, only death awaits you. The other party nodded. The 6 of them surrounded Yin Yiyu. White flames formed circles and enveloped her. At this moment, Yin Yiyu was unable to escape. Moreover, she had suffered serious injuries from the repeated blows. She fell to the ground. Of course, what surprised her the most was that the Plum Moon sect dared to attack the Yin Emperor's sect. At this moment, there were 10,000 questions in her heart. Go to hell. Unfortunately, the cold and emotionless voice had already arrived. A flaming palm with white flames was about to kill her. I hate it. The Plum Moon sect violated the agreement and attacked first. I hate that I can't tell my father. Yin Yiyu already knew her fate. She closed her eyes, unwilling to accept it. However, just as she thought that she was going to die, the sound of bones breaking could be heard. Then, a stream of hot blood spilled on her face. This blood was very hot, but she was sure that it was not her blood. Puzzled, she couldn't help but open her eyes. However, the scene in front of her left her dumbfounded. He saw a young man standing in front of him. He was still in a punching posture, but his fist had directly penetrated the chest of a mysterious black-robed man. Moreover, the mysterious black-robed man who died with his eyes wide open had his right arm severed. It seemed to have been broken by a single punch. This meant that if that arm had not been broken, the previous attack would have hit Yin Yiyu, and she would have died. What happened? Yin Yiyu sat there in shock. She also realized that this young man, who was like a heavenly soldier, was actually Lin Ling. She never thought that this disciple, who had shocked the entire Yin Emperor sect when he first entered, and who was later thought to be Elder Chen's mistake, would be so terrifying. Brat, you kill the Elder? At this moment, an angry roar could be heard. The remaining mysterious men in black regained their senses and pounced on Lin Ling. They were also furious. Because of a simple mission, they had caused the death of an elder. How are they going to report when they returned? One by one, they unleashed the Mei sect guarding martial arts. Moonfire shot out, causing the entire canyon to tremble. Be careful! Yin could not help but scream. She knew very well that this was the Mei sect's secret martial art, which was also the martial art that made them famous. Lin Ling, run! On the other side, Xianxia also discovered Lin Ling in the flame circle. She was shocked and then anxiously shouted, "Go back!" However, in the face of such a terrifying secret martial art, Lin Ling stood still. His godly devil body exploded with a powerful aura. He did not use any martial arts, but his fist was like a meteor as it blasted out. On one side was the fist of a mortal, and on the other side was a flame attack. At this moment, the distance between them was rapidly closing. Chapter 26:11. Annihilation. Boom! The fist collided with the terrifying flames, and sparks flew everywhere. Then, a figure staggered out from the colorful flames. He took more than 10 steps back before he finally stabilized himself. He looked extremely pathetic, and he was Lin Ling. Facing the combined attack of so many people, he would definitely be unable to resist. After all, he was only relying on his godly demon body to fight. However, when the crowd saw this scene, they felt as if they had been struck by lightning. This was because they guessed that under the combined attack, the young man would be directly smashed into pieces and not even his bones would be left. But now, the young man was only retreating. This was too terrifying. Even Yin covered her mouth with her jade-like hand. Her eyes were wide open. The Mei sect's ultimate technique was broken just like that. Whoosh! At this moment, Lin Ling flung the flames on his fists away. He licked his lips and said, "When a tiger goes down to the plains, he will be bullied by dogs. When a dragon is trapped in the shallows, fish and shrimps will play. You guys worked together before, now it's my turn." His voice was calm, but when it landed in the hearts of the mysterious black-robed men, it was like a demon smile. At this moment, their bodies actually trembled. However, Lin Ling did not care so much. He had already shot forward. If not for the fact that he was about to break through to the next realm, these guys could be killed with just a finger. But now that was all they could do. Rumble. The terrifying fist didn't release any spiritual energy, but it blasted through the air, smashing over with devastating force. Bang! One of them was still in shock, but the fist directly pierced through his chest. Seeing this, the remaining black-robed men were shocked. What happened? He did not even release a wisp of flame and did not release any spiritual energy. How is he so strong? Who is he? The black-robed men were all terrified. This was because in the flame world, the fire element was the only martial art. It was also the most powerful technique in the world. But now, a mysterious young man had used his fist to kill 2 powerhouses consecutively. This broke their understanding. Bang! Almost at the same time, Lin Ling attacked again. Plum Moon Wheel. His opponent was the last remaining elder. He let out a roar, and the flames in his hands turned into a round wheel that he slapped out. His talent was not weak either. He had a rank 8 awakened divine body. If he was in the Resplendent Academy, even Lin Ling would have to treat him seriously. Yet in the Flame World Fragment, this elder's talent was not bad, but he did not have the ultimate fire path. Boom! A fist rushed out of the circular fire wheel, and the fire wheel immediately exploded. Moreover, the fist easily penetrated the elder's chest. Elder Mei. The others were originally happy, thinking that there would be a miracle. However, the result made them feel like their hearts were dead. They no longer had any will to fight, and under their shocked gazes, Lin Ling had actually absorbed all of the flames that the elder had released. Monster! Even Yin let out a frightened cry. In her heart, that young man was simply not human. Run! The remaining black-robed men didn't care about anything else. With a loud roar, they quickly withdrew from the canyon. They never thought that the canyon would be a good place to ambush someone. However, they were the ones who were ambushed. It's too late to escape now. Unfortunately, Lin Ling was not a greenhorn. Naturally, He knew that he had to eliminate the source of the problem. He took a step, and the ground shook as if a demon god had descended. Lin Ling caught up to a black-robed man and grabbed his head. With a bang, his head exploded and blood splattered everywhere. He was as fragile as a watermelon. Lin Ling threw away the corpse in his hand, sneered, and caught up to another person. Bang! With a sweep of his leg, the second person who was running away was kicked in the waist. He died extremely miserably. Seeing this, Xianxia and the rest turned pale. This scene was bloody and cruel to them. However, to Lin Ling, this was a common occurrence. He had already killed countless people since he started practicing martial arts. There was no psychological pressure at all. This was because if he had been merciful, he would have died countless times already. In just a short time, the black-robed men were completely annihilated. The canyon was filled with the smell of blood. Yin Yiyu and the rest could only stare at Lin Ling. There was only one sentence in their hearts. A white rainbow piercing the sun, an eagle striking the sky. Lin Ling took out a piece of cloth and wiped the blood off his hands. He was a little depressed. If it were not for the fact that his strength had not recovered, he would not have used such a crude method. He would have ended these guys easily with a sword or a flame. All right, what are you all looking at me for? Finally, Lin Ling spoke. The people in the canyon subconsciously felt their hearts skip a beat and their faces turned pale. Seeing this, Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. You're also martial artists. If you're not used to such a bloody scene, you'll be killed by others in the future. We know. Xianxia replied immediately. However, knowing was one thing. Whether they could do it was another. Because only martial artists who had experienced blood and killing could get used to such a scene. Who are you? Why are you so powerful? What is your motive for entering our Yin Emperor sect? Yin Yu asked as she stared at Lin Ling after recovering from her shock. Lin Ling also looked at her and shook his head. Who I am is not important. What is important is that something big is going to happen in your Yin Emperor sect. His eyes were very calm, which made Yin Yiyu's heart tremble. His eyes were deep and calm, giving her the feeling that even if the sky fell, he would not be moved. This was a man with a story. Then she thought of Lin Ling's words and said in shock, "Don't talk nonsense." Sect leader's daughter, you know in your heart whether I am talking nonsense or not. You just don't want to admit it. Lin Ling sneered. In the flame world, the three great sects dominate everything. It has always been peaceful. But today, the Meiyu sect attacked the Yin Emperor sect. Are they fools? You might say that this was an accident, but I can tell you that your father and the other two sect leaders came from another world. They were just trapped here. Although they lived in peace at the beginning, after knowing that they would never be able to leave, they will definitely have different thoughts. For example, they will get rid of the other people and dominate this world. Through everything he knew, Lin Ling already had a guess in his heart. Then what should we do? Yin Yiyu was also naturally intelligent, so she guessed what was going on. Very simple. I will help you solve this problem. As a reward, you will bring me to the most secret place in the Yin Emperor sect. Lin Ling said, Why should I believe you? Yin Yiyu immediately looked at Lin Ling and realized that Lin Ling was also a person with evil intentions. You have no choice. Chapter 26:12. The Yin Emperor sect has betrayed us. If you don't lie to me, I'll agree. But if you lie to me, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. She really had no choice. Moreover, she was worried about her father and the Yin Emperor sect. In fact, she didn't know if her father was from the Flame World, but she was born in the Flame World. She had strong feelings for this place. You're not qualified for me to lie to you. In the distance, Lin Ling smiled faintly and walked back slowly. On the other hand, Lin Ling's footsteps were calm and composed, as if he was the most powerful being in the world. Xianxia and the others felt like they were in a dream. They thought that Lin Ling was a very ordinary person. The group immediately went back to the Yin Emperor sect. Along the way, although Yin Yiyu was cooperating with Lin Ling, he was still afraid of Lin Ling. Lin Ling was speechless. If he really wanted to harm Yin Yiyu, he could have done it directly. Why would he go through so much trouble? Who are you? Yin Yu couldn't help but ask. Even Xianxia was curious about Lin Ling, a passerby, or rather, a person who is rushing home. Lin Ling looked into the distance and said meaningfully, "A passerby." Yin Yu muttered to himself. However, Yang Xiaodian suddenly believed in Lin Ling. She remembered the first time she saw Lin Ling. At that time, Lin Ling was unconscious beside the furious Tiger River. Lin Ling seemed to be a lost passerby who was rushing home. "Senior sister, I believe he won't harm us," Yang Xiaotian said to Yin Yu. Yin Yu shook his head and didn't say anything. Along the way, they were shocked to find that many Yin Emperor sect disciples were fighting with each other. This made Yin Yu even more surprised. However, Lin Ling sneered. The more chaotic the Yin Emperor sect was, the better it was for him. What kind of secret is the Yin Emperor sect hiding? How could it cause such chaos? Lin Ling asked. Hearing this, Yin Yu was silent at the start, but she knew she had to rely on Lin Ling, so she spoke. The Flame Wheel is said to be the core of Flame World. That is a mysterious place. It is said that even my father could not see through the secrets of the Flame Wheel. However, as long as one is near the Flame Wheel, one's cultivation will be twice the result with half the effort. Looks like this is the reason why the other two sects are eyeing us covetously. Lin Ling somewhat understood. In the past, the three great sects did not interfere with each other, but that was only on the surface. The Yin Emperor sect possessed the greatest secret of the Flame World, and the other two great sects had long been eyeing it. However, the Yin Emperor sect leader was the strongest, and they did not dare to act rashly. And now, they seemed to have found an opportunity. This was because Lin Ling had been cultivating in the Yin Emperor sect for a period of time. He knew that the sect leader had been cultivating in seclusion. This was undoubtedly a good opportunity to take advantage of the sect leader's seclusion. There are external enemies and internal strife in the Yin Emperor sect. Looks like this plan has been prepared for a long time. Lin Ling said as he looked into the distance as the Yin Emperor sect got closer and closer. There, flames soared into the sky as if the clouds were on fire. From time to time, earth-shattering roars could be heard. What should we do? What should we do? Yin Yu had never encountered such a situation before. At this moment, she was even more panicked. That's why it's not good to be in an environment that is too comfortable sometimes. Seeing this, Lin Ling shook his head. There would never be a comfortable environment in the Resplendent Academy. Even if you were already very strong, your junior brothers would still secretly want to surpass you or even step on your head. The Yin Emperor sect did not have such an intense competitive atmosphere. Indeed, it was much worse. This caused the cultivators here to be slow to react to sudden events. Don't gloat. Lin Ling's tone was as if this matter did not concern him, which made Yin Yu very unhappy. Hee, putting on airs as the eldest senior sister? It's useless to be arrogant in front of me. It won't change anything. Seeing this, Lin Ling sneered. His words were very harsh, causing Yin Yu to grit her teeth. Even Yang Xiaotian felt that Lin Ling was a little too much. What they didn't know was that Lin Ling was just using this opportunity to let them grow up. You're not convinced? Fine, then tell me, who is the one who led this internal strife in the Yin Emperor sect? Lin Ling suddenly asked. Yin Yu's eyes narrowed. She could not answer. So, you're just a little girl in front of me. You're really not convinced? Now think about it. Other than your father and you, who has the greatest authority in the Yin Emperor sect? Lin Ling asked. Could it be senior brother? Senior brother? Yin Yu's eyes lit up. Her senior brother was the first disciple her father had recruited in the Flame World. Unfortunately, his talent was average and could not be considered a genius. However, her father cherished old friendships and had always focused on nurturing him. This caused her senior brother to have a lot of authority in the Yin Emperor sect. But why did he betray the Yin Emperor sect? I treated him like an elder brother. Yin Yu could not understand. You're the number one genius in the Yin Emperor sect and also the eldest senior sister. All the disciples worship you, but they only respect him, not worship him. This means that he relied on his status and not his strength. It's a disgrace for a man to be inferior to a woman. Over time, in order to become stronger, he would definitely do something to betray her. Lin Ling muttered. He had heard a little about the eldest senior brother. Hearing this, Yin Yiyu's face turned pale. She could not accept this fact. Seeing this, Lin Ling did not say anything and continued to lead the group forward. Who is it? Yes. After an unknown period of time, an angry shout came from the front. It's me, Yin Yiyu. Yes. Yin Yiyu immediately replied. However, the other side was silent, as if they were surprised. Then a voice sounded, Eldest senior sister, aren't you going to trade? If the trade is not completed, you can't return to the Yin Emperor sect. Yes. Soon, more than 10 figures came from afar. There were 3 elders leading more than 10 disciples of the Yin Emperor sect. These people are obviously not your father's men. You should know what to do. Yes. Seeing this, Lin Ling said coldly. Those people want to chase Yin Yiyu away because they did not want her to ruin their business. Yin Yiyu also understood the meaning behind this, but she still frowned and said, Elder Wu, Elder Lu, I want to return to the Yin Emperor sect. Get out of my way immediately. Moreover, I can pretend that this never happened. Yes. What are you talking about? Yes. Among the crowd in front, an elder walked over. I already know that the Yin Emperor sect has betrayed us. Now, I want to return immediately. Don't stop me, Yin Yiyu said again. However, just as she finished speaking, the elder who was frowning a moment ago had a fierce look in his eyes. He took a step forward and grabbed Yin Yiyu with his big hand. Obviously, he wanted to take advantage of Yin Yiyu's carelessness to catch her instantly. Yin Yiyu did not expect that the other party would suddenly make a move. She had wanted to persuade these people to change their minds. Unfortunately, she seemed to have underestimated the human heart. We know that something has happened. Moreover, we are the ones who caused it. Eldest miss, please excuse us, the elder sneered. However, just as his big hand was about to grab Yin Yiyu, a slap suddenly came over like a violent storm. Bang! Chapter 26:13. Run forward, don't look back. The people in the distance were stunned. Only then did they realize it was a handsome young man. I'm sorry, I'm not interested in your sect's internal strife. However, I have reached an agreement with your sect leader's daughter. Therefore, I have to help her. Lin Ling smiled faintly. He's Lin Ling, who was recommended by Elder Chun. Is he that powerful? The people in the distance were still in a daze, especially the 2 remaining elders. They felt like they were dreaming, because in their hearts, Lin Ling was just a disciple. Moreover, this disciple gave them the impression that he was lazy, aloof, and unambitious. Because of this, they didn't care much about this disciple. However, this lazy disciple had killed an elder. Next, I'm sorry, because you 2 elders are going to die. While they were still in shock, Lin Ling smiled. Accompanied by that cold smile, Lin Ling attacked. His god-demon body erupted. His fists were like meteors, and he was like a war giant. You dare to kill your master? The 2 elders exclaimed. Master? You're not as strong as me. Are you qualified to be my master? Moreover, a person who betrayed his own sect doesn't seem to be qualified to say that. Lin Ling's cold voice drifted over. In 2 punches, the chests of the 2 elders were penetrated. Lin Ling shook off the blood on his arm and looked at Yin Yiyu indifferently. I'll leave the rest to you. Me? Yin Yiyu opened her mouth wide. She knew that these people had betrayed the Yin Emperor sect. However, the naivers still thought that they would change their minds. Now, she wanted to kill her own people? Didn't the previous incident make you smarter? Lin Ling asked again. Hearing this, Yin Yiyu's eyes finally turned cold. The elder had suddenly attacked her, and this had taught her a lesson. Kill. Yin Yiyu's eyes flashed coldly. The remaining people were all disciples. Naturally, they weren't her match. Eldest senior sister, spare us. We were forced to do this. Those junior brothers all shouted in fear, causing Yin Yiyu to almost go easy on them. If you want to take over the Yin Emperor sect for your father, there are some things that you have to face. If you want to be a good person, then you shouldn't practice martial arts. You should find someone to marry. That's the way out. However, Lin Ling's indifferent voice also floated over. Boom, boom. In the end, Yin Yiyu killed those disciples. He lifted his head and looked at Lin Ling. Thank you. At first, she thought that Lin Ling was a demon, but she gradually understood that Lin Ling used this matter to make her grow up. He made her understand clearly that if she wanted to protect everything, her hands had to be stained with blood. Although this was difficult to accept, if she wanted to be independent, she had to bear all of this. You might not be used to it first, but you'll get used to it slowly. Remember, if you become weak, what can those who rely on you do? Lin Ling shook his head and walked slowly towards the Yin Emperor Sect's mountain gate. Looking at Lin Ling's back, Yin Yiyu's eyes flickered. That lonely back gave her the feeling that he had walked out from a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. What kind of man is this? At this moment, Yin Yiyu worshipped Lin Ling even more. Behind her, Xianxia and the rest were stunned. However, they seemed to have grown up quietly. At this moment, on the stairs leading to the Yin Emperor Sect, there were corpses everywhere. Moreover, there were flames burning on the ground. Damn it, that's Elder Fu. He spent his whole life working hard for the Yin Emperor Sect. He's dead. Grandma, who it's me, shouted Yan. Answer me. Junior brother Yang. Looking at those dead people, Yin Yiyu's eyes turned red. Yang Xiaodian and the rest even cried because those who died were their friends. They had left them with countless smiles. Suddenly, they understood even more why Lin Ling had asked them to be heartless earlier. There are more people who don't want to die. You'd better hurry up. Also, such a big thing has happened. Is your father still not coming out? At this moment, Lin Ling's voice drifted over from the stairs. My father is in seclusion in the flame wheel. Other than me, no one can inform him. Therefore, he definitely doesn't know about this. Yin Yiyu raised her head and said. Lin Ling nodded and said, no wonder they didn't want you to come back. So that's why. Go inform your father immediately and quell the rebellion. Okay. Yin Yiyu nodded immediately and rushed up the stairs with Lin Ling and the rest. However, when they rushed up, they immediately realized that the Yin Emperor Sect was even more chaotic. There were battles everywhere. Miss, the arrival of Lin Ling and the others immediately attracted the attention of many people. Some people were overjoyed, while others were enraged. Damn it, shouldn't Yin Yiyu have died on the way? A tall, calm-looking man frowned and said. He had a square face. Even though he was furious at this moment, he didn't give off a dignified aura. When he smiled, he looked even more approachable. He was the eldest senior brother of the Yin Emperor Sect, Jiang Gaofei. He was also the first disciple of the sect leader. His seniority wasn't low. However, this approachable eldest senior brother was the mastermind of the rebellion. Moreover, he had planned for a few years for today's matter and bought over a lot of people's hearts. As the saying goes, you can't judge a book by its cover. Kill her. Soon, Jiang Gaofei shouted angrily. This was because if Yin Yiyu woke up the sect leader, things would be troublesome. After he finished speaking, he was the first to pounce on Yin Yiyu. Moreover, after he made his move, a few elders also attacked crazily. Xiaoyu, be careful. On the other side, Elder Chun and the rest who were still fighting against the traitors shouted. Stop them. They wanted to help, but even more people stopped them. Obviously, the traitors knew that Yin Yiyu was the key. If she was alive, all the traitors would be buried with her. For their lives, they were willing to risk it all. When a person risked his life, his combat strength could be stimulated to 30%. This caused Elder Chun and the rest to be unable to free themselves. Yin Yiyu was stunned. In front of her, the sky was covered in flames. The aura was so terrifying that she didn't know what to do. This wasn't because she was useless. It was the first time in her life that she had encountered such a terrifying attack. Why are you in a daze? Go and tell your father. However, at this moment, a cold voice came from the side. It was Lin Ling. But how do I get there? Yin Yiyu replied immediately. Run forward. Don't look back. Remember, keep running. Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. There were too many people attacking him. It was difficult for him to fend them off. However, at this moment, he didn't have any other choice. Run? Yin Yeyu's eyes widened. She didn't believe Lin Ling's words. Hurry up and run. Don't be so wishy-washy. Lin Ling shouted angrily. Yin Yeyu finally ran away. Moreover, she was running towards the huge amount of flames in front of her. It seemed like she was courting death. Xiaoyu, eldest miss. Elder Chun and the rest couldn't wait to become stronger so that they could protect eldest Mississippi. However, at the crucial moment, Lin Ling made his move. Chapter 26:14. The sect leader had come out of seclusion. At this moment, he finally drew his sword. Although he couldn't unleash the full power of the tyrannical song sword, he could still increase Lin Ling's strength by a lot. The sword was drawn like an Azura. Boom! A sword light flashed, and a huge sword pillar slashed out horizontally, splitting the flaming clouds in front of them into two, forming a terrifying explosion. Of course, those exploding flames also engulfed Lin Ling and Yin Yiyu at the same time. At this moment, everyone was stunned. What happened? Is Liu dead? Elder Chin's eyes also turned red. But at this moment, a figure rushed out from the remaining flames and ran forward without looking back. It was Yin Yiyu. She was fine. What? Cries of surprise rang out one after another. Everyone was in disbelief. Kill! Kill! Jiang Gaofei's eyes turned red as he roared. This made the traitors extremely anxious as they unleashed their ultimate techniques to engulf Yin Yiyu, because their life and death depended on this moment. But at this moment, the sword light flashed. All of the flames were blocked, and they actually could not touch a single hair of flaming leaf feather. In the flames, a man stood there as if he had been reborn. His slender body was infinitely taller, causing everyone to stop breathing. A sword was tightly gripped in his hand. One man and one sword, guarding Yin Yiyu as if he was guarding the flame world. This terrifying scene made the crowd wonder if this was the descent of the flame god. Who is this person? Kill him immediately. Kill. The panic on Jiang Gaofei's face grew. It was because of this person that Yin Yiyu was safe and sound. So the first thing to do was to kill him. It's him. Kill. Only Elder Chen saw clearly who the handsome man was. It was Lin Ling, whom he had personally recommended. After Lin Ling had been recommended by him, the entire Yin Emperor sect had been against it. However, he had supported Lin Ling wholeheartedly and endured the mockery and opposition of the elders. Now, everything he had done was worth it. He didn't misjudge him. Today, the person who had saved the Yin Emperor sect was Lin Ling, whom he valued highly. At this moment, his eyes also became moist. Bang, bang, bang. However, even more flames landed on Lin Ling's body, as if they wanted to burn him alive. An ant can kill an elephant. Lin Ling was also bleeding from the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were still cold. Moreover, he didn't take a single step back and blocked all the wind and rain. At that moment, the boundary spirit in his body grew frantically, transforming into the boundary river. Lin Ling. At the moment, Yin Yi was still running. However, she could sense that the man protecting her was currently facing a terrifying attack. She finally knew why Lin Ling told her to keep running. It was because Lin Ling would protect her. She only needed to imagine Lin Ling. Don't look back. As her tears fell, a weak voice entered her ears. It was Lin Ling's voice. I'm sorry I wronged you. Yin Yi gritted her teeth and stubbornly ran towards the direction of Yinlin. She knew that if she delayed any longer, Lin Ling would die. She had to inform her father immediately. She was the only one in the entire Yin Emperor sect who knew where Yinlun was. Only with the key could she get close to Yinlun. Bastard. Who is that bastard? Why is his defense so strong? Burn him. Seeing that his plan had failed, Jiang Gaofei let out a ferocious roar. He had never expected that the plan he had prepared for so many years would be ruined by a single person. Most importantly, he didn't know that person at all. He also didn't know when such an expert had appeared in the Yin Emperor sect. The others were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. They unleashed all their strength and attacked Linling. A huge blazing sun appeared in the vast square and engulfed Linling. Linling, Elder Chen shouted crazily. Thinking of the past youth, his heart was filled with guilt. Linling, Yang Xiaoyan's eyes were also filled with tears. She also didn't expect that the person who saved the Yin Emperor sect today was the drunkard she had unintentionally saved. The terrifying blazing sun exploded completely. It was earth-shattering, and a bottomless hole was created in the square. This made many people shake their heads. This time, Linling should be dead. At this moment, the temperature in the distance suddenly rose. It even caused the ground to melt. Sect leader has come out of seclusion. Sensing the terrifying aura, Elder Chun and the others couldn't help but be overjoyed. Sure enough, a dazzling flame shot over from afar like a meteor. After it landed on the ground, it actually caused the surrounding houses to melt. After that, a man whose entire body was covered in flames appeared on the ground. He stood there quietly, seemingly causing even the air to melt. This was the sect leader's innate talent. The divine physique, heavenly origin, flash flame. The divine physique was an existence that surpassed the awakened divine physique. The only characteristic of this innate talent was its temperature. The terrifying temperature could reach 10,000 degrees, 100,000 degrees, or even 1,000,000 degrees. Warriors wouldn't even be able to get close to him, let alone fight with him. This was the most ancient warrior of the Flame World, and also one of the 3 great kings of the Flame World. Xianxia King. In the Flame World, he was the strongest. His innate talent was so strong that even Linling couldn't compare to him. In reality, in terms of ultimate Flame Dao, he wasn't stronger than Linling. However, he had cultivated in the Flame World fragment for many years and had the advantage of time and place. That was why his innate talents surpassed Linling. His arrival caused the entire square to fall silent. Father! Yin Yiyu rushed over from behind, his eyes filled with tears. I know. The dazzling light gradually disappeared, and finally, it turned into a burly man. He had a square face, and his hands were behind his back. Master! Master! Seeing the man, Jiang Gaofei's face turned pale. He was very dispirited. No matter what ambition he had, when he saw his master again, he subconsciously lost all thoughts of resistance. Kneel down. Xianxia King's eyes were extremely cold. Then he roared, Master, listen to my explanation. Jiang Gaofei was even more frightened and hurriedly shouted, You don't have to explain. Just take it that I have misjudged you. Xianxia King roared. He glanced at all the traders and said again, All of you kneel down. Following his voice, an unparalleled majesty spread out. Put on. All the traders knelt down, including Jiang Gaofei. At this moment, they had obviously failed and didn't control the Flame Emperor sect. Sect Master, Elder Chun and the rest hurriedly bowed, and Xianxia King nodded. Linling, where is Linling? At this moment, Yin Yiyu's anxious voice sounded, and he looked at Elder Chun and the rest. Elder Chun and the rest instantly became gloomy. They didn't answer Yin Yiyu's words, but looked at the huge pit in the middle of the square. At this moment, Yin Yiyu seemed to have guessed something. She seemed to have been struck by lightning. Linling was dead. Chapter 26:15. The Secret of the Flaming Wheel. Run forward, don't look back. The young man's firm voice resounded in her mind. Unfortunately, it was his last words. She felt as if she had lost all her strength. She walked towards the pit and knelt down. Linling, I did it. I didn't look back. I grew up. Come back. She let out a heart-wrenching voice. Seeing this, Elder Chun and the rest shed tears. They knew that if it wasn't for Linling, they wouldn't have been able to escape today. That mysterious young man had saved the entire Yin Emperor sect today. What happened? Xianxia Emperor frowned and asked. However, Yin Yi was already sobbing. He looked at the rest, and Yang Xiaotian and the rest told him everything, including the fact that Linling had allowed them to grow and helped them take charge of their own affairs, and so on. Boom! After knowing what had happened, Xianxia Emperor's heart was pounding. His face was filled with guilt. As the sect leader, he didn't know anything about the calamity that befell the Yin Emperor sect. Instead, the one who saved the Yin Emperor sect was a stranger. In order to save his daughter, the young man blocked the attacks of all the traitors and sacrificed himself to save her. What kind of noble sentiment was this? For a moment, the entire Yin Emperor sect was silent. Everyone remembered the name, Lin Ling. However, the Lin Ling in their hearts didn't die. Instead, he was running towards the flaming wheel. Those guys are really ruthless. He quickly crossed the ground and said gloomily, because his goal was the flaming wheel. Hence, after Yin Shan Emperor left the flaming wheel, he secretly rushed towards the mysterious place. He couldn't guarantee that Yin Shan Emperor wouldn't stop him after knowing his goal. Hence, this was the perfect opportunity. Of course, if he knew what had happened in the square, he would be speechless. Although he hadn't recovered his strength, those guys weren't qualified to kill him. If only those old fogies' attacks were a little stronger. I'll definitely enter the true God realm. In fact, Lin Ling even sensed that he was only one thickness away from the true God realm. Is the flame wheel here? Not long after, Lin Ling arrived in front of cave. The cave was pitch black and looked extremely ordinary. If he had not sensed that Yin Shan Emperor came out from this cave, he would not have guessed that Yin Luan was here. After that, Lin Ling shot into the cave. The cave was very ordinary at first, but as they went deeper, flames began to appear on the ground, walls, and ceiling. What was surprising was that these flames were not hot, and they were extremely ancient. This seems to be the place where the infernal god and the fire god fought. Lin Ling was secretly excited. The flame world was shattered because of the battle between the two gods. But the flame world was very big. If he could find the place where the battle took place, it would be a fatal help to fire-type martial artists. Along the way, Lin Ling gradually discovered that there were quite a few caves in the surroundings. They were densely packed, and all of them were burning with flames, as if they were veins, and all the caves were gathered in a huge space. When Lin Ling arrived at the space, he was shocked to discover that it was no longer in the flame world fragment, but in the universal void. In the universal void, a huge heart was jumping. Every time it jumped, circles of flame wheels would appear. Most importantly, the heart was very big, as if it was the heart of a giant. Is this the heart of the infernal god? At this time, a surprised voice suddenly sounded. Lin Ling was stunned, and then he laughed happily. The voice came from his body. It was Queen Xianxia. I say, can you not be so surprised? You will scare me to death. Thinking about how Queen Xianxia had protected him through the huge whirlpool, Lin Ling felt warm in his heart. Che, you can scare me to death. Who knows how many people will die in the universal void? Queen Xianxia laughed. Lin Ling shrugged and asked casually, when did you wake up? When those old guys attacked you, I woke up. Speaking of which, the elders of the Yin Emperor sect seem to think that you are dead. Queen Xianxia replied, who cares? Anyway, I have helped the Yin Emperor sect. It is reasonable for the Yin Emperor sect to repay my kindness. So, it is not a big deal to check out their forbidden area. Lin Ling said as he walked. When he arrived in front of the huge heart, the heart was still jumping, and flame wheels were still emitting from it. What is the secret of this flame wheel? Lin Ling frowned. He did not understand why the evil flame wheel was so interested in the heart. However, after seeing it with his own eyes, he did not find anything strange about it. Badump, badump. At this time, the heart was beating even faster. Lin Ling, be careful. Queen Xianxia also noticed the change in the situation. I did not expect that someone would find the heart of the infernal god. At this time, a faint voice could be heard. Then, a fiery red light gathered in front of the heart and formed a fiery red figure. The figure's facial features could not be seen. It was covered in flames and looked very mysterious. True God Martial Spirit. At the same time, Lin Ling exclaimed. The fiery red figure was the martial artist's true God Martial Soul, and it was extremely powerful. You are quite knowledgeable. The figure was surprised. He did not expect the young man in front of him to know his origin. So powerful. This true God martial spirit must have been an expert at the peak of the true God realm when he was alive. Lin Ling, be careful. If he wants to harm us, we will not be able to stop him. Queen Xianxia sent a telepathic message to Lin Ling. Lin Ling nodded. He suddenly realized that the man had nothing to do with the heart. He must have accidentally entered this place and was attracted by the heart. After that, he wanted to refine the heart. In fact, his guess was correct. Where are you from? Are you from the Eight Gods' heavenly palace? The figure asked suddenly. Eight Gods' heavenly palace. Lin Ling's eyes flickered. He was more familiar with the figure's origin. The figure came from the Eight Gods' heavenly palace. The Eight Gods' heavenly palace seemed to have a path that led to the Flame World fragment. The Eight Gods' heavenly palace was a secret place that even Li Xiaoyao could not understand. It contained the secrets of the universe. If anyone could obtain it, they would be able to dominate the land of the 9 states. Speak. Seeing that Lin Ling seemed to be thinking about something, the figure immediately attacked violently. The moment he attacked, the entire void trembled. His strength was terrifying. This was only the strength of a true God, martial spirit. If that person had a physical body, he would be able to combine his martial spirit with his physical body. His strength will be doubled. This kind of powerhouse was not someone that Lin Ling could resist at the moment. Lin Ling, run. Queen Xianxia jumped out from Lin Ling's body and tried to stop the mysterious expert. Of course, it was just a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Even Lin Ling did not expect that there would be such a powerful cultivator hidden within the Wheel of Flame. However, just as the powerful cultivator was about to grab Lin Ling, a sudden change occurred. Boom! A terrifying flame aura burst out from Lin Ling's body. Colorful flames burned and gradually formed a huge coffin. Chapter 26:16. The Man in the Flame Coffin. Most importantly, the flame coffin wasn't summoned by Lin Ling, but by itself. When mysterious flame coffin appeared, not only Lin Ling, but even a mysterious expert's heart tightened. Everyone could sense an ancient aura emanating from the blazing coffin. Ka ka ka. At this moment, the coffin emitted a deafening sound. The lid of the coffin quietly opened, and a flaming arm covered in scales stretched out from the coffin. Wake up! With just a single sentence, the void trembled. What is this? Why is it that even I am trembling with fear? What is this? That mysterious expert exclaimed. He had been practicing fire attribute martial arts for many years, and his strength was monstrous. Even the heart of the flame god was almost refined by him. But now, the coffin was also a fire attribute, but gave him a feeling of worship. And this coffin came from that young man. What exactly did that young man do? However, Lin Ling didn't pay any attention to him because he didn't know what had happened either. Die! Sensing that the situation was getting worse, the true divinity martial spirit made its move. Moreover, its target was Lin Ling. In his opinion, as long as he killed Lin Ling, this strange flame coffin would disappear. Seeing this, Lin Ling's face turned cold. However, at this moment, the huge flaming coffin swam over and broke apart inch by inch. It actually turned into pieces of armor and enveloped Lin Ling. What is this? Lin Ling couldn't react in time. Of course, the true God martial spirit and Xianxia Queen were the same. Xianxia Queen subconsciously rushed toward Lin Ling, completely forgetting that she couldn't stop the mysterious flaming coffin. Boom! Unfortunately, a scorching flame suddenly exploded and blew the 1,000 Fate Queen away. Those flames were not Lin Ling's flames, because Lin Ling's flames were not that powerful. Crackle! At the same time, the sound of burning flames also sounded, and it was as ear-piercing as thunder. Queen Xianxia quickly regained control of her body. However, she saw that the place where Lin Ling was standing was still burning. She wondered how Lin Ling was doing. The true God martial spirit sensed that something was wrong. However, there was nothing he could do. He could only look at Queen Xianxia. Killing one was still one. If something unexpected happened later, it would save him some trouble. However, just as he was about to move, a muffled sound was heard. The flames in front of him began to shrink, and gradually, a flaming coffin appeared. Most importantly, the lid of the coffin was slowly pushed open, and an arm covered in red scales silently stretched out. Moreover, as if the ancient flame demon had awakened, a man crawled out of the flame coffin. This man had long red hair, like a sea urchin. His entire body was covered in red scales, and wisps of flames were lingering around him like smoke. Even the flames had turned into smoke. This showed how terrifying this man was. Most importantly, his face was Lin Ling's face. Queen Xianxia and the true God martial spirit were stunned by this scene. In fact, they were scared out of their wits. "I'm back," the man said in a deep voice with a smile on his face. That smile gave people a sense of evilness. Moreover, the aura on his body was ancient, as if he came from the ancient era. Say, Senior." The true God martial spirit was terrified. The man's aura was too terrifying. Although he was at the peak of the true God realm in the past, he was sure that the man was someone who had surpassed the true God realm. "I'm not called Senior. I'm called Evil Flame God." The man smiled gently as he looked at the true God martial spirit. Without any movement, he appeared in front of the true God martial spirit in an instant. His speed was definitely faster than the speed of 10 worlds. Spare my life." The true God martial spirit was trembling. He could not even speak properly. He had never thought that he would encounter such a situation while he was refining the flame god's heart. "You can leave now." While he was still in shock, the evil-looking man suddenly laughed. "All right, thank you, Senior, for not killing me." The true God martial spirit seized the opportunity and hurriedly shot into the distance. His speed was also very fast. However, just as his martial spirit moved, an arm covered with scales grabbed him. Colorful flames burned at the same time, forming a huge coffin. It wanted to seal the true God martial spirit in the coffin. "Senior, didn't you say that I can leave now?" The true God martial spirit was panicking. He could not break free from the coffin's shackles. "You can leave now, but I didn't say that I won't kill you." However, the man's next sentence made the true God martial spirit feel that this ancient evil flame god was simply a temperamental existence. "Of course, you and I have no enmity. I don't like to kill the innocent. If you didn't call me Senior, I would have let you go." The true God martial spirit was terrified because he had called the man Senior instead of Lord Evil Flame God. This meant that he was going to die. "I'm not willing." The true God martial spirit shouted angrily. He was so close to getting the heart of the flame god. Unfortunately, an ordinary-looking young man came with an evil item, which ruined his plan. Boom! It was as if an ancient flame had exploded. The coffin completely covered the true God martial spirit. Then it exploded, and everything was burned to ashes. An ancient martial artist at the peak of the true God realm had fallen here. Far away, Queen Xianxia covered her mouth. She could not believe what had just happened. Previously, the true God martial spirit was so domineering that it could dominate everything. That was the truth. The true God martial spirit not only dominated them, but also the entire flame world. However, after the evil-looking man appeared, the domineering existence was sealed in the coffin and burned to ashes. Whoosh! While she was still in shock, the man had already appeared in front of Queen Xianxia. She was stunned. She had to admit that the man was very beautiful. His body was covered in red armor, and his long hair was draped over his shoulders. He looked like a real infernal god. However, he was the dark side of the infernal god, the evil flame god. If she did not feel that the evil flame god was temperamental, she might have been tempted by him. "Little girl, you can leave now." The man smiled gently. "You'll kill me?" Queen Xianxia did not move. The true God martial spirit was a good example. "I hate smart women." "Sigh, you could have left, but I've changed my mind." The man shook his head. What was terrifying was that he wanted to kill Queen Xianxia, but he could find some excuses to make her tremble in fear. However, he was so powerful that she could not do anything to him. "You dare to kill her?" However, just as the man was about to attack, a furious voice was heard. The man's expression changed drastically, and his eyes kept changing. Sometimes he looked evil. Sometimes he looked determined. It was as if he had a split personality. Chapter 26:17. Fight to protect. I definitely want to reach the top of Huan Yu, but I can't kill the innocent. Another voice rang out. It was filled with determination, and it came from a man's body. Lin Ling. Queen Xianxia could tell that it was Lin Ling's voice. Furthermore, evil infernal god? It had to be known that Lin Ling cultivated the demonic flame transformation. Could it be that his cultivation method had mutated and he had given birth to his own soul? Foolish, the man roared. If you don't kill them all, how can you become a god? Trash doesn't have the right to live. You are the ignorant one. They are the motivation for me to become strong. Without them, where would I be today? I, Lin Ling, tell you, no matter who you are, I'm the owner of this body. No one can change my principles. Lin Ling's voice also came out crazily, with an unprecedented firmness. He rose from Gu Yin's sect and fought for the sake of protecting. This was his principle and his motivation to become strong. He would never slaughter his family and friends for the sake of becoming stronger, because those were not burdens, but forbidden areas in his heart that could not be violated. You don't have the right to talk about me. That man also roared angrily, his imposing manner extremely strong. Look at the top of your head and see what it is. Lin Ling's voice became hysterical, causing the man to look up. Above his head, a huge divine steel smashed down with a loud bang. Its terrifying aura was even more terrifying than the heart in the distance. The space-time steel. The man's eyes were filled with deep fear. He had just awakened and wanted to seize Lin Ling's body to revive himself in this world. But who would have thought that Lin Ling would have such an ancient artifact? Boom! The gigantic divine steel of time and space smashed down, causing the void to tremble and sparks to fly in all directions. You could deny my words, but you will understand in the future. The man let out a cry of indignation. In the end, he was smashed down by the space-time divine steel. From afar, he looked like a tombstone. On the other hand, Queen Xianxia witnessed the shocking scene with her own eyes. She stood there blankly without saying a word for a long time. This area of space seemed to have fallen silent. Only the heart in the distance continued to beat, adding a strange atmosphere. Lin Ling, are you all right? After some time, Queen Xianxia finally reacted. She let out a worried voice. She had also guessed what had happened. It should be that the evil infernal god had awakened and wanted to take over Lin Ling's body and consciousness. Unfortunately, Lin Ling's tenacity exceeded the evil infernal god's expectations. Ka. At this moment, the space-time divine steel slowly floated up. A man covered in blood lifted the space-time divine steel. It was a ghastly sight. You're Lin Ling? Or the evil infernal god? Queen Xianxia's heart skipped a beat. I'm Lin Ling. The man originally had his head down, but at this moment he slowly raised his head. His face was cold, but his eyes were firm. However, that pair of eyes no longer contained the madness and evil intent. It was Lin Ling's gaze. Seeing this, Queen Xianxia finally felt relieved. Lin Ling lifted the space-time divine steel with both hands. He held the space-time divine steel with one hand and walked forward step by step. Waves of terrifying aura spread out from his body. Queen Xianxia was stunned. She was a middle true immortal realm expert, but when she saw Lin Ling, she felt that she could not fight him. That guy is the evil infernal god that was summoned by the evil flame change. No wonder it wanted to come here. The fire element spiritual energy here is dense enough for it to awaken. Lin Ling said as he walked. He was very clear that there were two reasons why he could suppress the evil flame god. Firstly, the evil flame transformation was something he had cultivated. The evil flame transformation couldn't kill him. It could only seize his body and consciousness. Second, it was the space-time divine steel. However, that guy was not dead. It had just fallen into a deep sleep again. You've broken through to the next realm. Queen Xianxia sensed Lin Ling's terrifying aura. Yes, Lin Ling nodded. Now that both of his Dantians had reached the first stage of true God realm, his strength was 3 times stronger than before. Of course, Lin Ling was able to successfully break through to the next realm because he had been on the verge of breaking through for a long time. Second, the evil infernal god had taken over his body and given him some power. However, Queen Xianxia could see that Lin Ling's eyes were filled with anger. Obviously, if the evil infernal god had taken over his body, Lin Ling would no longer be Lin Ling. He would kill his family and friends just to become a god. Obviously, this had touched Lin Ling's reverse scale. That guy won't be able to come out for now. With the space-time divine steel, he won't dare to be too arrogant. However, I know that he has been trying to take over my consciousness and change me. Lin Ling kept the space-time divine steel and said coldly. The evil infernal god had been hiding in Lin Ling's skill. It was like a ticking time bomb. However, Lin Ling was confident that one day he would be able to take over the evil infernal god's consciousness. Heart of the infernal god. Then, Lin Ling looked at the beating heart in front of him, and a smile finally appeared on his face. He did not expect that after coming to the Wheel of Flames, he would be the final winner. Moreover, his strength had been restored and increased greatly. This made him want to roar at the sky. The heart of the infernal god belongs to me. Lin Ling moved and shot towards the heart that was floating in the void, gradually disappearing into it. Seeing this, Queen Xianxia was happy for Lin Ling. Lin Ling had sacrificed so much, and now he was finally reaping the rewards. The mysterious heart was hanging in the sky and beating. Every time it beat, a wheel of flames would spread out. It was extremely mysterious. This ancient heart of the infernal god was actually one of the infernal god's hearts. It had divine power that could not be underestimated. Without the true god martial spirit, Lin Ling would need a long time to refine it. However, the true god martial spirit was already 90% refined. Therefore, Lin Ling took advantage of the situation and successfully refined it. At this moment, his second Dantian exploded. The space-time flame was roaring. Moreover, the ancient heart was moving because of the flame. The flame wheel that came out of his heart had also turned into a myriad of colors at this moment. The heart of the infernal god seemed to have completely merged with the space-time flame. Kid, a man of great ambition, does not care about trifles. I'm doing this for your own good. At this moment, the evil infernal god's voice sounded again. It actually entered the heart. I was born from the evil infernal transformation that you cultivated. I am you, and you are me. Give me your consciousness, and let us merge into one. A large amount of flames floated out from the heart and finally condensed into a figure. It was Lin Ling's figure. However, it was different from the real Lin Ling. It was more emotionless and cold. Get lost. At this moment, Lin Ling sensed the scene in his Dantian. He shouted angrily. The space-time divine steel appeared in his right eye and swam towards his Dantian. Finally, it fiercely suppressed the heart. Sooner or later, you will understand. Chapter 26:18. His strength had increased tremendously. Lin Ling's eyes flickered. Although he had refined the infernal god's heart, it had turned into the infernal god's heart. Luckily, both the infernal god's heart and the infernal god's heart had merged with the space-time flames. Therefore, the space-time divine steel could suppress everything. As long as he did not use the heart of the infernal god would not be able to come out. I didn't expect my second Dantian to condense a true god martial soul. Lin Ling exclaimed inwardly. True god realm cultivators possessed a true god martial soul, but not everyone could comprehend it. However, Lin Ling's flame Tao had it, and it was the heart of the infernal god. The heart of the infernal god is not to be underestimated. If I use it, I'll be able to unleash a terrifying power. Lin Ling said. Not only had he broken through, but he had also discovered that his talent had reached the 9th grade awakened divine physique. Moreover, his ultimate flame, Tao, had reached the perfection stage of the true realm of Tao. This allowed Lin Ling to easily cultivate the fourth stage of the demonic flame change, heaven and earth change. This stage could be said to be the watershed of the demonic flame 6 transformations. It raised one's cultivation by one whole true God realm and reached the speed of 4 realms. If Lin Ling used the heart of the infernal god, he did not know how strong he would be. At least, Lin Ling would not be afraid of a 3rd-level true God realm cultivator, and he would be able to kill him easily. I cultivate essence, qi, and spirit. In the qi realm, I have already met the requirements of the next stage of the chaos divine formula. Only my physical strength and soul power have not met the requirements. Otherwise, I will have formed a 3rd Dantian. Lin Ling was looking forward to it. With 2 Dantians, he could already defeat many experts. What if he had 3 Dantians? Then, Lin Ling stood up. You're awake? At the same time, Thousand Traps Queen could not help but laugh. She could feel that Lin Ling's strength had increased once again. Not only was he invincible in the same realm, but he could also defeat a 2nd-level true God realm cultivator. She had been following Lin Ling all this time and had witnessed Lin Ling's growth with her own eyes. She knew how monstrous Lin Ling was. After all, Lin Ling had not even been in the martial god realm for 1,000 years, yet he had already stepped into the true immortal realm. Moreover, he was an existence that could not be underestimated in the early stage. We can go home now. Lin Ling, on the other hand, smiled slightly. Thinking of everything that had happened before, he immediately felt a sense of joy after suffering. Do you know how to get back? Hearing this, Queen Xianxia's eyes lit up. There are 2 paths back here. One leads to the 4th floor of the 8 gods' heavenly palace, and the other is the path that the sect leader of the Yin Emperor sect and the others came from. The end of the 2nd path is also the huge whirlpool where the worlds collide. Others don't dare to pass through that huge whirlpool, but we have already experienced it once. I think it won't stop us a 2nd time. Lin Ling said confidently. He had the 10,000 mammoths' demonic eyes, which allowed him to see through everything in the universe. This was something that no one could compare to. After that, he led Queen Xianxia forward. There were many caves in the void, and one of them led to the huge whirlpool. However, just as Lin Ling was about to step into the huge whirlpool, he stopped. What's wrong? Queen Xianxia could not help but ask. It's all thanks to the Yin Emperor's sect that I was able to increase my strength so quickly. It would be immoral for me to just leave like this. So, I might as well pay them a visit. Lin Ling smiled, which made Queen Xianxia shake her head helplessly. You don't trust them, right? Why are you looking for excuses? You are a righteous person. However, even though she said that, she knew that this was the difference between Lin Ling and Xianxia. Think what you want. Lin Ling curled his lips, turned around, and headed towards the Yin Emperor sect. This was because he suddenly remembered that the Yin Emperor sect's betrayal did not happen suddenly. It was a plan that had been prepared for a long time. Most importantly, if it was an internal conflict, the sect leader of the Yin Emperor sect could solve it. But what if it was a war between the 3 sects? That would be hard to say. I just made a breakthrough in my cultivation. I hope that the experts in this fragment of the flame world can give me a surprise. Lin Ling's confident voice floated out of the cave. At this moment, everyone in the Yin Emperor sect could finally put down their worries. Now that the sect leader had come out of seclusion, all the disasters would be suppressed. Jiang Gaofei, what else do you have to say? At this moment, the Yin Shan King put his hands behind his back and looked at the traitor who was kneeling on the ground. All the traitors lowered their heads, and their faces were ashen. Even their eldest senior brother, Jiang Gaofei, was the same. Traitor, what else do you have to say? The crowd roared furiously as well. They hated Jiang Gaofei because their family and friends had all died in this calamity. Jiang Gaofei was kneeling on the ground with his head lowered. No one knew what he was thinking. What else do I have to say? Master, I have sacrificed so much blood and sweat for the Yin Emperor sect in my life. I have been so loyal and devoted. But what have I gotten in return? He suddenly said to himself, Don't tell me that I haven't put enough blood and sweat into you. Have I neglected you? The Yin Shan King said coldly. Huh. Jiang Gaofei raised his head and couldn't help but laugh. What's the use of blood and sweat? What I want is respect. Respect from the bottom of my heart. Do you know how I've been through all these years? When those junior brothers entered the sect, I taught them martial arts, and they were extremely respectful to me. But in the days that followed, they surpassed me. When I taught them again, they said to me, "Eldest senior brother, you're too weak. You can't even learn this bit of martial arts. I'd better ask eldest senior sister for guidance." That kind of sarcasm, that kind of contempt, who would know? The entire Yin Emperor sect looked down on me, thinking that I was just lucky. If I wasn't the first disciple to become master's disciple, I wouldn't even be qualified to be a guard disciple. Jiang Gaofei's eyes were red. "So, you betrayed the Yin Emperor sect and killed your junior brothers?" The Yin Shan King said angrily. "Yes, they mocked me in the past. Today, I will make them pay the price." "Ha ha. I, Jiang Gaofei, am not someone who can be bullied. I'm also a man." Jiang Gaofei seemed to have thrown caution to the wind and laughed crazily. "Then let me ask you, without me, what kind of person would you be?" However, the next sentence of the Yin Shan King stunned Jiang Gaofei. Without the Yin Shan King, he would just be an ordinary person in the flame world. He wouldn't be able to enjoy the feeling of being above others. "Let me ask you again, even if your talent is ordinary, have I ever mistreated you all these years?" The Yin Shan King said again. Jiang Gaofei had no words to refute. The Yin Shan King valued friendship. Jiang Gaofei was his first disciple. Hence, he had never mistreated this disciple. "You don't understand. I want to dominate the flame world with my strength, not with master's reputation. Yin Shan King, since you brought me into the world of martial arts, you should make me the strongest. You are not worthy of being my master." However, Jiang Gaofei didn't feel guilty. Instead, he shouted angrily, and for the first time, he called the Yin Shan King by his name. Chapter 26:19. The enemy is here. Bastard. Elder Chun and the rest couldn't take it anymore and scolded. "Sigh." Yin Shan King let out a long sigh. He couldn't help but admit that he was an unqualified master. However, Jiang Gaofei stood up and laughed arrogantly. "Yin Shan Emperor, I know that you're going to kill me today. Since that's the case, our relationship as master and disciple is over. Don't blame me for being merciless. You're the one who forced me to do this. Moreover, as a master, you killed your disciple. Who could be more cold-blooded than you? Today, all of you must die. All of you are jealous of me and want me dead. You won't live past today." Jiang Gaofei became hysterical as he roared again and again. Yin Shan Emperor and the rest frowned. "Jiang Gaofei, what did he mean?" "Jiang Gaofei, you're really disappointing." At this moment, a cold voice came from the sky. Then, a large number of figures came from afar. They were from Meiyu sect and Taichu sect. Moreover, the leaders of the two sects came personally. This was the gathering of the three leaders of the flame world. This was the first time many people saw the three strongest cultivators of the flame world together. "Old Mei Taichu, what's the meaning of this?" Yin Shan Emperor looked at the sky and frowned. "I think we don't have to waste time explaining." An old man in a Taoist robe said calmly. There was a flaming moon embroidered on the back of his robe. He was the leader of Meiyu sect. In fact, Yin Shan Emperor had already guessed it. He looked at Jiang Gaofei and asked, "You colluded with them?" "Haha, Yin Shan Emperor, it's too late for you to know." Jiang Gaofei immediately sneered, causing Elder Chun and the others to curse him. This was simply a cruel and unscrupulous beast. Most importantly, he obviously wanted to seize the Yin Emperor's sect, but he acted like a victim. It was extremely shameless. "Jiang Gaofei, I asked you to take control of the Flame Emperor's sect. It's such a simple task, and you can't even do it. You're really useless," the leader of Taichu sect said. According to their plan, Jiang Gaofei would take control of the Flame Emperor sect, and then they would come and kill Yin Shan Emperor, who knew that it would still fail. "A cockroach ruined my plans." Hearing the sect leader's words, Jiang Gaofei immediately said angrily. The cockroach in his words was Lin Ling. In his opinion, that Lin Ling was simply a lowly commoner among lowly commoners. He actually dragged down such a noble person like him. All right, let's talk about this later. The two sect leaders spoke at the same time. Then, they looked at Xianxia King. In the past, we made an agreement to control the flame world together. However, you, Xianxia King, were too greedy. You took over the flame wheel and the mines. Hence, don't blame us for being merciless today. So that's how it is. You've been eyeing us covetously for a long time. What with the excuses? Flame Flash King was not surprised by their ambition. In fact, he had been wary of them for a long time. It was just that they were not as strong as him, so he did not fear them. Let's cut the crap. Let's fight. The two sect leaders immediately unleashed their powerful auras, causing the flames to soar into the sky. Then, they walked towards Flame Flash King. Sect Master. Many disciples of the Yin Emperor sect started to worry. It's all right. The sect master's strength is above theirs. They are here to die, Elder Chen said confidently. This was because this was not the first time such a battle had happened. In the past, the sect master had returned victorious. Moreover, the sect master was magnanimous. Every time he won, he did not kill the other party. This was because the sect master cared that the other party came from the same world and was from the same hometown. This was a secret of a Yin Emperor sect. Not many people knew about it. However, they did not know that this time, the other party came prepared. They were obviously very confident. Boom! The sect master of the Mei Yu sect emitted a powerful aura. It was as if a flame god was floating in the sky. Fourth level true god? You have broken through? Flame Flash King was originally very confident. However, at this moment, his expression changed drastically. The other party's cultivation level was higher than his. Haha, I used all the flame crystals in the sect to cultivate. I forcefully broke through so that I could defeat an old man like you. The sect master of the Mei Yu sect roared proudly. Flame Flash King, to think that you would have such a day. The other sect master also shouted angrily. He raised both his hands, and countless sparks of flames poured out. These flames were very small, like dust. However, when they landed on the bodies of the crowd, they immediately felt that the energy in their bodies was suppressed. They could not use any spiritual energy. Didn't you promise me that you would not devour the talent? Seeing this, Flame Flash King's expression turned ugly. This was because he had used the illusory demon flame, a level 9 awakened godly body. This demon flame was born in the flame world and was not very powerful. However, this talent had a fatal advantage. It could suppress all fire elemental talents and prevent fire elemental martial artists from using spiritual energy. In the past, Flame Flash King had seen this talent. However, because it could only suppress fire elemental martial artists, it had too many flaws. Therefore, he did not use it and even seal the talent. Who knew that the sect master of the Taichu sect would violate the agreement and secretly refine the talent? This meant that it would be difficult for the sect master to change his talent. If he left this place, his strength would be limited. Any martial artist could defeat him. Only fire elemental martial artists would be suppressed by him. Although this talent is of little value, I have thought it through. As long as I don't leave this place for the rest of my life, it will be enough. Everyone here is a fire elemental martial artist. Therefore, my talent is enough to be called a king. The sect master laughed crazily. Bang, bang, bang. At this moment, the disciples of the Yin Emperor sect fell powerlessly on the ground. They had lost the ability to fight. This showed how heaven-defying the talent was. As for the disciples of the other two sects, they had their own special antidotes. Therefore, they were safe and sound. Antidote. Jiang Gaofei also felt that his spiritual energy had been sealed. He quickly shouted. Soon, someone threw the antidote to him. This made him laugh excitedly. In the entire Yin Emperor sect, only Flame Flash King could still fight. After all, his talent was higher, and he was immune to a portion of the Demon Flame's power. You all are despicable. At this moment, Flame Flash King felt that he was too kind in the past. Because, if he wanted to dominate the flame world, he would have killed the two sect masters. He cared about the past, but the other party did not. Huh. Hearing this, the other two sect masters laughed sarcastically. Don't make it sound so good. You didn't kill us because you wanted to humiliate us slowly. We came from the same place, but you became a king in the flame world. We are all your subordinates. This is the feeling you want." One of them said coldly, "A gentleman's virtue is like the wind. A villain's virtue is like the grass." Flame Flash King roared and then rushed toward the sky. Boom! His talon exploded, causing a blazing sun to appear in the sky. He was the most talented martial artist in the flame world. He had a true divine body, core to the gods. After his talent exploded, flame gods descended from all directions, as though they were blessing Flame Flash King. This was the core of the gods. It was a unique characteristic of the divine body. It was similar to the divine light protection of the awakened divine body. It had a strong, supporting effect. Temperature. Chapter 2620. Boom, boom, boom. The mountains around the Yin Emperor sect started burning without any fire. As for the people on the ground, their mouths and tongues were dry, because the temperature was too high. Looking at the Yin Shan Emperor's aura, the two sect leaders looked serious. Although the Yin Shan Emperor's fire spiritual energy was suppressed, he was still a force to be reckoned with. His spiritual energy is depleting quickly. With the suppression of our evil flames, he will be defeated sooner or later. Delay him. Delay. The old man from the Meiyu sect said coldly. He was extremely cunning. 100,000 burning heavens and earth. Boom! While the two of them were talking, a huge flaming palm came. The Yin Shan Emperor's attack was coming. Stop him! The two sect leaders joined forces and used their ultimate skills. Boom! However, they were no match for the Yin Shan Emperor. After the first clash, they spat out blood and flew backwards. They were in a sorry state. Haha, Yin Shan Emperor, your attack has weakened. Come on, come on. I know you are loyal and treat your disciples as your family. However, your family betrayed you and caused more people to die. Are you in pain? However, the two sect leaders endured their injuries and flew into the sky again. 500,000 flaming pagoda. Hearing their words, the Yin Shan Emperor was enraged. An even more terrifying temperature burst out. 500,000 degrees. Boom! The mountains were roasted by the temperature and exploded. The Yin Emperor sect was also engulfed in flames. At this moment, the entire flame world seemed to have become the bottom of a volcano. However, the two sect leaders sneered. They did not want to fight the Yin Shan Emperor head-on. Instead, they used their movement skills to fly in the sky. They were obviously trying to exhaust the Yin Shan Emperor's energy. Yin Shan Emperor, your daughter is very beautiful. After you die, I will treat her well and make her my 29th concubine. Haha, old Mei, after you are tired of her, you must let me play with her. As they ran, they mocked. Bastard. Behind them, the Yin Shan Emperor was so angry that his eyes were red. He chased after them. Not good. Sect leader fell for their provocation. If it wasn't for the illusory demonic flame, Sect Master wouldn't be afraid even if they were played tricks. However, the illusory demonic flame is constantly suppressing Sect Master's spiritual energy. Seeing this, Elder Chun and the rest were extremely anxious. However, they did not even have the strength to fly and could not help at all. As time passed, Flame Flash King's aura began to weaken. Die! The leader of the Meiyu sect sneered, stopped in her tracks, and suddenly launched a sneak attack. Boom! Flame Flash King couldn't react in time and was immediately smashed to the ground. This made the sect leader stand in the sky and laugh out loud. After so many years, this was the first time he had seriously injured Flame Flash King. However, Flame Flash King was going all out. He rushed forward once again, but everyone could see that it was only a matter of time before Yin Shan King lost. Let's see how hard your bones are. Come on, you're worried about your daughter, right? I'll let my disciple humiliate her in front of you, and let you hear your daughter's moans. The two sect leaders continued to provoke Flame Flash King with their words. They were like two cruel wolves toying with an injured elephant. Every time Flame Flash King was seriously injured, he would fight again and again until his entire body was covered in blood. Sect leader, Father, Seeing the tragic scene in the sky, all the Flame Emperor sect disciples' faces turned pale. They knew that they had lost the battle. They would all die. Yin Yiyu and Yang Xiaodian sat on the ground powerlessly. Their faces were filled with pain. They had tried their best, but it was a pity that they could not change the outcome. Flame Flash King, look at your daughter. At this moment, a sinister smile suddenly sounded. Jiang Gaofei had already appeared in front of Yin Yiyu. Moreover, he grabbed Yin Yiyu's neck with his big hand. Marry me, and I'll spare your father's life. Jiang Gaofei licked his lips. He wanted to humiliate Flame Flash King's daughter in front of him. This would also cause Flame Flash King's mind to be in a mess, and he would be more likely to be defeated. Xiaoyu. In the sky, Flame Flash King was stunned. At this moment, the attacks of the two sect leaders arrived, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. However, his gaze was still fixed on the ground. Father, Yin Yiyu said with difficulty. Jiang Gaofei smiled proudly. However, just as Jiang Gaofei was expecting Yin Yiyu to nod her head, a firm voice sounded in Yin Yiyu's mind. Go forward, don't look back. Go to hell, bastard. You trash of the Flame Emperor sect. Yin Yiyu immediately scolded. Since she had decided to fight with her father, then she would continue to walk forward and never look back. This was what Lin Ling had taught her. No matter what kind of storm or calamity she would encounter, as long as she had made a decision, then she would walk forward resolutely. Bang! Yin Yiyu forcefully slapped Jiang Gaofei while scolding, causing the latter to be enraged. Flame Flash King, you dominate the flame world and do whatever you want. Today, I will let you watch your daughter die in front of you. Huh, you trash who values friendship and loyalty. You will definitely be in pain. Jiang Gaofei was hit by Yin Yiyu. He seemed to have gone crazy. Of course, what completely infuriated him was that sentence. Trash of the Flame Emperor sect. This reminded him of the strange gazes of his junior brothers. He threw Yin Yiyu far away. At this moment, the Flame Emperor sect had already been destroyed. There were flames everywhere. Yin Yiyu was thrown down the mountain and was about to smash into the flames. Her fate was obvious. Xiaoyu. Seeing this scene, Flame Flash King immediately cried out in pain. Unfortunately, he was too far away to save Yin Yiyu. Senior sister. All the disciples of the Flame Emperor sect shouted. They admired Senior Sister's courage, but they were unwilling to see her fall here forever. The Flame Emperor sect will never be defeated. At this moment, Yin Yiyu was smashed into the flames at the foot of the mountain, but she shouted. As the Senior Sister, she couldn't be weak in front of the Flame Emperor sect today. Otherwise, the Flame Emperor sect, her junior brothers, and all her friends and family would lose the will to fight. She must have the demeanor of a senior sister. However, as she got closer and closer to the foot of the mountain, her eyes started to moisten. She remembered Lin Ling's words. Lin Ling once said that the Flame Emperor sect was too peaceful. Once they encountered a great calamity, they would definitely be wiped out. Lin Ling was right. Lin Ling, you lied to me. You said that you would protect us if we made a deal. She couldn't help but cry. Although she had always been strong, she still had a weak side in her heart. At this moment, she saw a black shadow appear in the smoky sky. It was like an eagle soaring in the sky, and it was getting closer and closer to her. When everything became real, she stopped crying because it was a young man in a blue robe. When have I, Lin Ling, not gone back on my words? That lazy voice suddenly drifted into her ears. Soon after, she felt herself being hugged by someone. It was the most peaceful harbor in the world. Bang! At the same time, a figure hugged Yin Yiyu and slammed into the ground. Chapter 26-21. With me around, the Yin Emperor sect will have nothing to worry about. Following that smash, the flames on the ground scattered. A man carrying Yin Yiyu walked out from the dispersing flames like a flame god. Moreover, he was heading toward the top of the mountain. This scene shocked all the experts on the mountain peak. Who is he? Doubts arose in many people's hearts. However, it was undeniable that the man was like a divine soldier descending from the heavens. This scene shocked their hearts. Lin Ling, you're not dead. Being hugged by Lin Ling, Yin Yu felt like she was in a dream. Then, she couldn't help but cry. Although she was Lin Ling's senior sister, in reality, Lin Ling was more like her senior brother. This mysterious man was carefree and unrestrained, standing aloof from worldly affairs. However, at critical moments, he was more reliable than anyone else. Lin Ling, the Yin Emperor sect, is going to be destroyed. Everyone is going to die. Yin Yiyu's tears flowed out. This caused Lin Ling to halt his steps. He shook his head and smiled. Don't you still have me? His voice was calm, but it was filled with great confidence. Yin Yiyu was stunned. Lin Ling's smile was very charming, and she was actually mesmerized by it. But after Lin Ling put her down, she also reacted. They are two great sect masters. Although she knew that Lin Ling was very magical, she did not think that Lin Ling was a match for the two sect leaders. Unfortunately, after Lin Ling put her down, he had already climbed up the stairs to the Yin Emperor sect. At this moment, the Yin Emperor sect was covered in smoke, but it was silent. Just as the Yin Emperor sect was about to disappear from the world, a young man suddenly appeared and joined the battle. How could they not be shocked? Countless gazes were fixed on Lin Ling, including the three sect leaders in the sky. It's Lin Ling. Yang Xiaodian was the first to speak, her face filled with joy. Elder Chen couldn't help but smile. But soon, their faces dimmed. Although they were surprised by Lin Ling's appearance, they didn't think that Lin Ling could change anything. Elder Chen almost shouted, Lin Ling, get out of here. If they stayed in the Yin Emperor sect, they would be completely annihilated. However, before his voice could be heard, Lin Ling had already spoken. As long as I'm here, the Yin Emperor sect has nothing to worry about. As soon as he said that, the Yin Emperor sect became even more silent. Everyone thought that Lin Ling would say something, but in the end, Lin Ling said that there was no need to worry about the Yin Emperor sect, and the only one they could rely on was Lin Ling. Boom! In just a short moment, everyone's hearts were pounding. They couldn't believe it. The two sect leaders in the sky let out disdainful smiles. They did not even bother to look at Lin Ling. You are just a disciple of the Yin Emperor sect. Who gave you such confidence? After hearing Jiang Gaofei's words, the disdainful smiles on the two sect leaders' faces deepened. They were wondering who it was, but it turned out that it was just a disciple of the Yin Emperor sect. Where did this junior come from? He's just a disciple, but he's deliberately mystifying things. Be the first to kill him. The disciples of the other two sects shouted coldly. Some of them were even tempted to kill Lin Ling. They were not even afraid of the Yin Emperor sect leader. How could they be afraid of a disciple? Could it be him? At this moment, Yin Shanqing's eyes flickered. He guessed that the young man was the one who had saved the Yin Emperor sect. This made him feel extremely grateful. When the Yin Emperor sect was in danger, the one who dared to fight against the enemy was a disciple that he did not know. Go, leave immediately. The Yin Emperor sect is like a flame. If it is extinguished today, it will burn again in the future and meet the flame world. Yin Shanqing couldn't help but roar. That disciple was the pride of the Yin Emperor sect. With him around, the Yin Emperor sect would never disappear from the world. Unfortunately, Lin Ling did not care about his words. Instead, he walked towards Jiang Gaofei. Jiang Gaofei sneered. He was not afraid at all. He did not realize that Lin Ling was already a true God Realm expert. Perhaps to him, there were only 3 people in the flame world who had reached the true God Realm. It was impossible for others to do so. Why? Are you not going to greet your senior brother? Jiang Gaofei said coldly. Lin Ling stopped in his tracks. Do you know? I hate ungrateful people the most in my life. Even though you're just an ant, you've successfully angered me. Huh? Jiang Gaofei could not help but laugh. Peasant, if you did not enter the Yin Emperor sect, you are nothing. You are the cockroach that ruined my plans. Do you know what you did wrong? You did wrong because you did not know your place and ruined my plans. He still regarded himself as the senior brother and Lin Ling as the junior brother. If the geniuses of the Resplendent Academy were here, they would definitely be laughing their heads off. Not everyone could be the senior brother of the #1 genius in the history of the resplendent academy. Trash. Lin Ling did not bother to explain anything. He continued to look at Jiang Gaofei with contempt. Say that again. Jiang Gaofei's face immediately became gloomy. The word trash was his reverse scale. Look at my mouth. Lin Ling laughed. The reason why he was talking nonsense with this ant was because the other party disgusted him. Trash. Another sarcastic remark floated out in shock. Jiang Gaofei is the senior brother. He hates it when his junior brother looks down on him. That guy is pouring oil on senior brother Zhang's anger. There will be a good show to watch. The disciples of the two sects rejoiced in Jiang Gaofei's misfortune. As expected, Jiang Gaofei's face darkened. As a junior brother, you really can't see yourself clearly. Pitiful. You are the one who can't see yourself clearly. Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. He waved his right hand, and a sword light flashed. The tyrannical song, sword, once again shone in the flame world. Jiang Gaofei was unable to react in time. Everything below his knees was directly cut off, and his entire body fell to the ground. Then a cry of pain floated out. You cripple me, Jiang Gaofei said in disbelief. He was shocked. What a fast sword. He did not even notice it. How could this junior brother Lin Ling be so strong? Do you know why I didn't kill you? I wanted to show you how strong your so-called world is. However, Lin Ling did not even look at him. He turned around and looked at the sky. Then, he pointed his sword at the experts in the sky. I am a merciful person. I don't like to kill. The reason why I use my sword is because I owe the Yin Emperor sect a favor. I also made a deal with the young miss of the sect. So, you have 3 breaths of time to escape. The moment the sword was drawn, the world fell silent. However, the disciples of the two sects were stunned. So arrogant? Even the disciples of the Yin Emperor sect were shocked. Was Lin Ling going to kill them all? So powerful. Only Yang Xiaotian and Yin Yu had admiration in their eyes. Was this what a real martial artist was like? Compared to Lin Ling's arrogance, their martial arts practice was just child's play. You're just a disciple. Who gave you the right to be so arrogant? However, after a moment of silence, the disciples of the two sects shouted angrily, Sect leader, I will kill him. I will. No one is allowed to snatch him from me. Chapter 26-22. Unparalleled Might. Dying. Many disciples swooped down from the sky, fighting to be the first to attack. In their eyes, a mere disciple of the Yin Emperor sect was limited in strength. He might not even be as strong as an elder of the Yin Emperor sect. Some of the top geniuses from the two sects even said arrogantly, I don't care who you are, but you're obviously a disciple of the Yin Emperor sect. Let me, the #1 genius of the Meiyu sect, fight you. Flames that filled the sky erupted at this moment. It was as if a multicolored meteor had smashed into the ground. Although the disciples of the two sects couldn't compare to the Yin Emperor sect, they had the advantage in numbers. If they attacked together, even the elders of the Yin Emperor sect wouldn't be able to block them. Their talents weren't weak either. They had all reached the 5th grade awakened godly body. Damn it, if my spiritual energy wasn't suppressed, I would definitely help him. Lin Ling, be careful. Seeing this, everyone in the Yin Emperor sect was worried for Lin Ling. Although they knew who Lin Ling was, that was all they knew. Lin Ling used the Yin Emperor sect's cultivation technique, the blazing origin protection technique. Elder Chun was the one who was most worried about Lin Ling, so he reminded loudly. He knew that Lin Ling had just arrived, so he was the least affected by the demonic flames. However, his strength wasn't enough to stop the disciples of the two sects. However, under everyone's gaze, Lin Ling just stood there motionless. Stupid, he scared stupid. Jiang Gaofei roared on the ground, his eyes filled with hatred. He wanted to see Lin Ling burn to death with his own eyes. Rumble. That was indeed the case. Countless flames came crashing down and drowned Lin Ling. But at this moment, swords flew out from Lin Ling's body, intertwining with each other. The sword light was like water. The 81 swords easily blocked the sea of fire in the sky. One had to know that no one in the World King realm could block the descent of the Sea of Flames. Therefore, everyone was shocked. At this moment, everyone in the sky was stunned. The disciples of the Yin Emperor sect on the ground opened their mouths wide. In their eyes, Lin Ling's blue robe fluttered as he stood on the ground. He held his sword with one hand and didn't move at all. Yet, those terrifying attacks were all blocked. To them, this scene was no different from a god. He didn't use any fire attribute martial arts. Even Elder Chun was in disbelief. In Flame World, fire attribute martial arts represented everything. When had he ever seen a sword path that had nothing to do with fire attribute? As for Jiang Gaofei, he was dumbfounded. What kind of technique is this? He thought that he was the senior brother, and Lin Ling had joined the Yin Emperor sect later, so he was the junior brother. His status was not as high as his. However, he suddenly realized that this junior brother was mysterious beyond his imagination. He was like a frog at the bottom of a well. A mere spark dares to compete with the sun and moon. At this moment, Lin Ling coldly spat out these words. He waved his sleeve as if he was the king of swords. Whoosh, whoosh. The Ashura sword formation shot towards the sky with a crushing force. Boom, boom, boom. The sea of fire that came crashing down from the sky was actually cut into pieces and exploded in all directions. With just a move, the attacks of all the disciples from the two sects were easily disintegrated. Those exploding flames sprinkled down like a rain of fire. However, in the dazzling rain of fire, Lin Ling walked out step by step. Blue robe, ancient sword like a fire god. So powerful, Yin Yiyu's eyes trembled violently. She never expected Lin Ling's strength to be beyond her imagination. Who is this guy? He doesn't have any fire attribute martial arts, but he easily blocked our attacks. Your strength is comparable to an elder's. Admirable. The top geniuses of the two sects stared at Lin Ling and said solemnly, "Of course, this is only for now. In the future, I will definitely surpass you. The title of Flame World's genius cannot be humiliated." Then, they began to retreat. They didn't have the heart to fight. However, when they retreated, they were still arrogant because they were the geniuses of Flame World. However, they wanted to escape because they couldn't win? Wasn't this a little too optimistic? In front of me, no one in Flame World is qualified to be called a genius. Lin Ling sneered and pointed his ancient sword at the sky. Swoosh, swoosh. 81 Shura swords shot into the sky. The powerful aura caused the wind and clouds to roll in the sky. Indeed, in front of Lin Ling, they really weren't qualified to be called geniuses. Even in the martial god world, not many people dared to call themselves geniuses in front of Lin Ling. Not good. What kind of swords are those? Did this guy take advantage of us? He actually dares to attack us. Burn his swords. Seeing the black ancient swords shooting over, the disciples were immediately enraged. In their opinion, with the two sect leaders here, Lin Ling didn't have the qualifications to be arrogant. Of course, after the anger, they were also a little panicked. However, where the 81 swords passed, the sky was immediately filled with blood. No disciple was able to block those swords. Then, corpses fell from the sky one after another, and blood rained down like rain. Of the disciples that came out to fight, over 90% had been killed in a single move. There were still several disciples that hadn't died. At this time, their complexions were incomparably pale. They remembered Lin Ling's words. If they didn't retreat in 3 breaths of time, they would all be exterminated. At the time, these words were arrogant, but now they were tyrannical. Looking at the unparalleled might of the swords, Yang Xiaotian and the others covered their mouths with their hands. Even Elder Chen's pupils widened. This was because he couldn't understand what those swords were. With such unparalleled might, Lin Ling was still a disciple? You beast, you're so heartless. What martial arts path do you speak of? Just wait for me to break your sword. In the sky, the elders of the two sects were stunned for a moment. Then they roared out in anger. Lin Ling wanted to cut off their sect's lineage. Moreover, he was killing their disciples right in front of them. How could they just stand by and watch? Flame Fist. Boom! A 9th level World King Realm Elder attacked. His hands formed complex seals as he punched out. Horrifying flames condensed into a giant fist, as if they would destroy all the swords. It's Elder Giant Flame. Great, great, he's finally made a move. Huh. Seeing this, the remaining people of the two sects cheered again and again. They looked forward to seeing the flame fist destroy all the swords. This was because Elder Giant Flame's strength was at the peak of the three great sects. But the flame fist was like a mountain, and the 81 swords were like a swarm of locusts. They simply weren't on the same level. And most importantly, that elder's talent was extremely formidable. He had a 9th grade awakened divine body. Lin Ling absolutely could not block him. You have formidable talent, but you don't even have the ultimate martial path. So how can you talk about the flame path? Huh. However, on the ground, Lin Ling coldly spat out a few words.